million US. Revenue was up compared to the same quarter last year. And here's the thing. Popeyes actually did the heavy lifting on the comparable sales overall. That chain saw a gain of 1.5%.
Well, of course, because he was Mr. Tough Guy with his spinach and his I'll get you Pluto and all that bullshit.
Sales fell by 2.3%. So that's not providing a lift to Bay Street. The TSX in the red, though, it's down 83. 19,175.
Remember, I found the CV joint.
This week of about 0.5%.
What, 2 weeks ago? This is some type of bearing race, and I would think it came off of a truck more so than a car. Because I've seen the ones they use on them old 2-ton, you know, big fucking cars back in the 80s. They've got to be from a truck. Well, all I can say, you're not rolling on this no more.
And we are also expecting to see growth of 0.9% in March. Now, in April, new restrictions went into effect. We know that very well in Ontario.
Wait for it. I got lug nuts.
Doug Porter is chief economist.
And 2 different sockets.
The renewed restrictions, especially in Ontario, essentially began almost at the start of April.
Looks like I got it backwards at all.
So, in reality, these reports are more
about
the reopening and nothing to do with the third wave restrictions. And in the weeks ahead, we are going to get preliminary evidence on how the economy fared.
It's supposed to be exactly 28 grand. Oh, that's nice and clear. They're not usually that clear. It says AWZN. ZN is zinc. I don't remember what AW is.
The Canadian dollar right now is down by 0.1 cent, 81.33 cents US. Now on Wall Street, the Dow is lower by 207. It's likely looking at a losing week. The S&P pulling back from a record, down 22, and the Nasdaq down 49. I'm Chris McCusker. This is 680 News.
As Desjardins agents, we take the time to get to know you. Because the more we know, the better advice we can give. Your designer shoes, those
there's a half ounce of lead.
That collection of animal plush toys from the 90s that's as priceless.
And I'm going to guess it's from Quebec, and that's the letter P for plum, no?
We've got you covered.
Switch and save up to 35% on home insurance when you bundle with auto. Get a quote at DesjardinAgents.com. Desjardins Insurance. Home, auto, life. Exclusions and conditions apply.
So I'm supposedly an hour early because I got told there would be a thing from Doug Ford at 11 o'clock. Now they're saying 12, unless they made a mistake. But we're going to find out in the next few minutes.
What we'll get serious about is impaired driving.
Oh,
Plan ahead, take a cab, or stay overnight in Wendell.
Whether you're out of the town or just hanging out with friends, drink responsibly.
This is that happy Canadian social drinking music.
Thanks, you two. Just like Shania and Wendell, you can support sober driving.
What happened to the other sock that I had? What the hell?
Taking a look at some regional weather
The other one's 10 millimeters.
I
might have dropped it on the floor.
Cloudy skies 6 in Bradford, same for Barrie. Mississauga, sun and cloud there, 8 degrees. St. Catharines, partly cloudy and 9. Right now in downtown Toronto, those exact same conditions. The News Watch never stops. 680 News is CFTR AM Toronto. It's 11 o'clock.
Toronto's #1 for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News. This is Friday, the 30th of April.
And I'm Sarah Paris. Here's what's making news this hour.
Younger Ontarians can now book appointments at mass vaccination sites as the province's active COVID-19 case count drops for an 8th straight day. The Prime Minister will hold a news conference soon as our largest vaccine producer changes the source for our shots and provinces push for tighter border controls. Keep both hands firmly on the wheel if you're out and about today because the winds are blowing. We're under a special weather statement calling for heavy winds all day. The Blue Jays are back in action tonight at home against the Braves, while the Raptors will be scoreboard watching. Sports at 15.
Investors selling stocks after gains for markets in the month of April. Canada's economy continues to see growth, and shares in Twitter firmly in the red. Business at 26. 680 News Time, 11:01.
Our time for traffic and weather.
You sounded happy about that. You're not supposed to.
Well, still heavy on the eastbound 401. This report brought to you by Hickory Dickory Decks. It's eastbound 401 approaching Islington. And actually, well, right at Islington, where we have 2 issues. Approaching Islington in the collectors, a crash on the right shoulder, and then right in the same spot, the ramp to Islington is closed because of a separate collision. So we're dealing with delays 427 to east of Islington as you pass through this area. Visual distraction. It's heavy in the collectors because the ramp is closed, and on the approach, traffic's getting into the ramp lane, and then just before it splits off, seeing crews having blocked that lane off, so you've got to get back into those two live lanes in the collectors. Plus, we've got eastbound 409 traffic merging in here, and then the visual distraction of that problem on the ramp to Islington, just really slowing things down. 427 to east of Islington into both express and collector lanes. That's the only busy spot on the eastbound 401. On the westbound 401, it's moving well across the city. There's still this minor problem on the westbound 409 ramp to Martin Grove. Right lane remains blocked with a stolen vehicle. It's been like this since before 9 o'clock this morning, but not really impacting your drive, thankfully. One other stretch of volume is eastbound QEW approaching Royal Windsor to Ford Drive.
Very
and then we have
correct
ramp closures on the 407. The Bronte ramps to westbound 407 are closed for road work until this afternoon. Celebrating over 30 years of custom decks and happy customers, Hickory Dickory Decks offers the widest selection of low-maintenance decking. Enjoy life outdoors. Visit decks.ca. Next report at 11:11, and with the forecast, here's Jill Taylor.
It was 9 degrees very early this morning. That's our guaranteed high for today. We'll stay close to that mark. Strong gusty wind for us. Gusts could exceed 70 kilometers per hour out of the west-northwest. More of a northwest wind tonight, and still quite strong. Slight chance of showers late in the day. For today, already reached our guaranteed high, 9.
All right, now in downtown Toronto, it is 9 degrees. We have a partly cloudy sky. 6:80 news time, 11:03.
Ontario's vaccine rollout is expanding now, with a younger age group able to book their shots starting today. This is we see another day of COVID cases below 4,000.
680's Alex Bloomfield joins us live with everything you need to know. Alex.
Well, Sarah, there are a lot of good trends in the data today. Resolved cases once again surpassing new ones. So the active case count down for an 8th straight day. 3,887 new infections out of over 53,000 tests. That puts the positivity rate around 7.4%, in line with lower numbers we've seen over the past 2 days. 57% of the cases are in Toronto and Peel region.
From 1 or 2%, 3, 4, 5, 7 is now considered low. Oh, because it was at 10 and change for a couple days. So 7's considered low. Think about that.
Over 112,000 shots were put into arms on Thursday in an effort to get that number back up to last week's records. Eligibility is expanding on a couple of fronts today. First, the provincial booking portal is now open to everyone 55 and older in health units that use the central system, and 16 pharmacies in Peel and Toronto are now offering Pfizer shots to the same age group. Most pharmacies are out of AstraZeneca at this point. The education minister also revealing any education staff not already eligible to book a shot will be able to do so as of Monday. The premier was supposed to be speaking right now, but as has become tradition with COVID updates, the news conference has been delayed twice. This time reportedly because an outdoor tent blew over at the home where Doug Ford has been isolating. Moment will tell you all about the wind in a moment. In any case, it's now set for noon. No word yet on what will be discussed, but we haven't heard from Doug Ford since his apology 8 days ago. Reporting live, I'm Alex Bloomfield. Well, members of the military will begin their first shift in Sunnybrook Hospital's field hospital today. A total of 34 personnel from the Joint Task Force Central are being brought in to help support the mobile health unit there. Now, the field hospital.
That's Toronto and Ontario.
Of Sunnybrook's Bayview campus.
You looked that up the other day.
Up to 84 patients who are either recovered or nearly recovered from COVID-19. Now, right now, 6 patients have been moved to this site. Another 2 expected to arrive today.
Well, as we wait to hear from the Prime Minister this morning, there's been a change from our largest vaccine supplier and a push from provinces for tighter border controls. 680's Parliament Hill reporter Cormac McSweeney has more.
Pfizer is going to be changing the source for Canada's COVID-19 vaccines. Until now, we've been getting our doses from a plant in Belgium due to the export controls that were put in place by the United States. But CBC reports beginning Monday, they'll start coming from plants in the U.S. A government source tells me there will be no change to the deliveries to Canada. We're still expecting 2 million doses per week beginning next week.
See how horrible that label is. That's a horrible label.
Vaccine protectionism and started allowing Mexico to access Pfizer doses from there. It's still not clear when or how many AstraZeneca doses we can get from the U.S., despite the fact Canada's already ordered 20 million doses from that U.S. plant. Meanwhile, the Ontario government has sent a letter to the Trudeau government demanding the feds impose mandatory 3-day hotel quarantine for all travelers entering at land crossings from the state. That rule is currently in place only for air travel. The province says there are reports of international travels booking return flights to American airports, then driving across the border. They say that's a risk. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
680 News Time, 11:06. But whether it's patio furniture, hats, hey, even your masks, make sure that they are secure because it is going to be a windy one today. So windy at times that Environment Canada has now issued a special weather statement for it. And 680's Momin Qureshi joining us live now with details. Momin.
Steve, keep both hands on the wheel if you're out there driving. Hold on to your hats, lean forward into the wind, whatever you want to say. Tie up all that loose stuff that's in your yard, because we are under a special weather statement today with our meteorologist Jill Taylor saying we're going to be experiencing heavy winds all day.
And this wind is strong enough to bring down branches. We could be dealing with some power outages through the day today. And this is an all-day event, this strong wind.
This special weather statement is calling for winds up to a potential of 80 kilometers per hour. So that is some heavy, heavy stuff. So if you are out and about, keep that in mind and be aware of your surroundings because things could be blowing around. Reporting live, I'm Momin Qureshi.
More options for fresh air exercise this weekend.
This side soaking wet. Don't get yourself, man.
Active TO road closures are back, as we hear from our Carl Hansky.
The first active TO road closures of the season will see the Bayview extension and the eastbound lanes only of Lakeshore here between Leslie and Woodbine and the beach shut down at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning until 9 o'clock Sunday night. It's to allow cyclists and pedestrians to use the road space so they can properly spread out. This walker loves it.
It gives them more space to move around, get more exercise. They get to cycle and run in areas they couldn't run before. So I think it's good.
For affected drivers, it means detours and or lane closures. But with a stay-at-home order in effect, traffic volumes are lighter anyway.
It's not particularly inconvenient. You have to get around it, but overall, it's worth it.
Anyone planning to bike, walk, or run along any active TO road route are reminded to only do so with members of their own household. I'm Carl Hansky.
And just a reminder as well, another pothole repair blitz is planned for tomorrow. Now, we do have 25 city crews that are going to be out starting tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock, essentially repairing as many potholes as they can get to over a span of 12 hours. Now, this is actually the third blitz of the year so far. In the first two, nearly 9,000 were filled. So those out on the roads might want to get watch out for some delays as well because of the work and give those guys plenty of space. Coming up in 30 seconds, a check on the price of gas.
City News Time, 11:09.
Your news now on your radio, online, and on your smart speaker.
Play 680 News.
At Sicily Honda, our family wants your family to drive a great deal during our Honda Checkered Flag event. Right now, get 0.99% lease and finance rates on a 2021 Civic sedan. Plus, get $750 lease or finance cash to further lower your payment.
See it spiraling like
DNA strand. Miles at Sicily Honda, 88 Steeles Avenue, just west of Young. Go to Sicily.com for details.
Slab with a roof and no walls and some picnic tables under there. That's the kind of thing that I can understand having to pay some money to book because you've claimed that spot and that's a spot that you can stay all day and it's got the shelter and everything. The idea of just a picnic bench to me seems like at that point, I might as well, book the Circle at Trinity Bellwoods. I'm going to go to Trinity Bellwoods and book Circle 21B, sink my battleship.
It's B19,
mother. That could be next. You don't know. Residents, some of them are pretty angry at not only the idea of paying for something that their taxes cover, but there are also people that are concerned that low-income.
Your taxes covered. Whose taxes covered? No, I want to hear how these people think their taxes covered because everybody's got this crazy explanation. Like, I need to know who you are so I can get the money from your insurance and all this other bullshit that isn't real.
People pool their money, $1 a piece, depending on how many people you have going, $2 a piece. That's for 4
We're going to try to space everybody onto smaller groups, so let's pool our money. You are fucking retarded. You're not even supposed to be hinting at those ideas. We're not even supposed to be hinting at those ideas. That's how fucking stupid these people are. You're in the media. People will hear 3 words out of 50 and run with it. For example, parking lot cremations. We'll get to that.
Because I have a problem with those people that now this sounds like I'm.
I have a problem with those people.
That's the word I'm looking for. Sounds like I'm talking. I'm trying to find a way to say this so it doesn't sound like I'm a snooty person that goes away much. But it reminds me of the people. I'm just going to come out and say that. I'm not going to edit myself. It reminds me of the people that go to all-inclusive resorts. If you've ever been to an all-inclusive resort, I know not everybody can afford to do that, but if you have gone to an all-inclusive resort, you know the people.
What did you just say?
Reserve those lounge chairs drives me crazy. They'll put an
cheapest
piece of fruit on the lounge chair and a towel or one of those stupid novels that no one's read that they just grabbed from the ticket.
All-inclusives are basically the cheapest way. Oh, yes, they are, because if you set up the trip and the hotel and the amenities and all that shit separately yourself, you save money.
Right? Making sure that if you're going to reserve it, you're going to use it. So
it's like a pizza slice is more affordable than all the ingredients to buy pizza, sort of. It's like crack is more affordable than Coke, technically.
But as far as that judge wanting to charge the guy in BC for manslaughter, I phoned the Ottawa police station yesterday trying to have...
Anthony in Mississauga, welcome to the show. So there are some people that don't mind this idea, the idea that, okay, I can reserve a picnic table.
Do you hear where he was going?
Public park. This is happening.
So I called the Ottawa police station, and they're a bunch of fucking lawyers, right? And they told you what you can and cannot do, right?
Would you be open to this, happening here in the GTA?
Okay.
Tomorrow, the high 13, showers and 14 Sunday. For today, the guaranteed high, 9. Right now in downtown Toronto, it's partly cloudy, 9 degrees. Pearson Airport, cloudy and 7. 680 News Time, 11:13.
Now the Dynamic Funds Market Minute, and for that, let's go to the Business Center and check in on the morning it's been so far, Chris.
Well, we've got a losing day, Steve, on both sides of the border, but mostly a winning week for market.
I know everybody gets the idea a manslaughter charge is the same as first degree. You gotta prove. You will be very disappointed spending the next 16 years and change in your fucking cell because you're stupid. Oh, and they will keep you in your cell by yourself because you're stupid. They protect people like that in jail. I called the Ottawa police yesterday. Click.
Down $1.66.
You know how old that guy was. Still can't figure out how to stay on subject, calling into a radio station.
81.25 cents U.S. At the Business Center, I'm Chris McCusker.
Think that investment fees are all that matter? Sometimes the quest for wealth isn't so simple. Learn the true value of advice at dynamic.ca/advice.
When you call a Dell Technologies advisor, you get to talk to a real person who can provide tailored solutions that don't fit every small business, they fit yours. That's what it means to really listen. For solutions powered by Intel vPro platform, call an advisor at 310
Oh, wow.
Shane Bankhei's Leaside Manor luxury condo at 3 South Vale Drive is now registered and ready to move in. A few 2-bedroom, den, and 3 bedrooms with terraces are...
A few 2-bedroom plus den, and 3 bedrooms. You know what those apartments are for? To appease the government, in a way. They're supposed to be building 3s, 4s, and 5s. A 2+ den is not a 2-bedroom. See the little droplets of moisture? Little droplets of moisture. Little droplets. Because it was frozen not that many hours ago. So what that means is they didn't sell all the fucking condo units.
Number 1 for breaking news, traffic.
They make the most money off the smallest condos because they're charging you the most per square foot they possibly could, basically.
Steve Roberts.
And I'm Sarah Harris here at Top Stories this hour.
Basically.
Ontario's vaccine rollout is expanding with a younger age group now able to book their shots starting today. Of course, it also depends on your postal code as well. This as we see another day of COVID cases below 4,000, coming in at 3,887. Now, Premier Doug Ford was scheduled to speak at 11 o'clock and then at 11:30. Well, now he's been moved to noon today. Expect to hold a news conference. No word on what he is going to discuss just just yet. And whether it's patio furniture, even your masks, make sure everything is secured today. Environment Canada issuing a special weather statement calling on wind gusts that could top 80 kilometers an hour.
Vaccinated, both needles, Moderna, and there's no reason for this. They'll tell me that thousands of people. I guess we live in North York and we're home. I don't get it. The whole thing is ridiculous. Absolutely.
All right, I found a spot. It was a no. It was a break in the conversation, and Nev is back to Canada. Welcome back. John in Toronto, can you get us back on topic?
Wow, hello there.
So she's a horrible person and a horrible host, and has some horrible racist prejudice concepts in her head, but it's all her listeners that are wrong right now. That is the people that listen to you every fucking day. That's why they're calling you bitching about the strangest things that sound horrible, is because that's who you are internally, a horrible person.
I just love it, but I can't see being able to charge people $10 or $20 for a picnic bench or whatever it is. You just wait. This summer, the beaches will be packed with people because there's nothing else for them to do, and there's nowhere else to.
Remember the kid that died? Queen Street East beaches. Yeah, never mind.
Is very stressed out. Keep it simple, and everything is now ultra complicated, and it's just crazy.
You know what I think is nuts, though, John, is that it's kind of like we've adopted. You'd think in this pandemic we'd really share more. You know, we'd realize the importance of community because we're without it so much.
So what's happening here? She's finding herself in the position of not being Miss High and Mighty, and money and employment status don't mean shit. And everybody else is not reaching out to her now. It's no different. So the BC public health nurse, the Ontario public health nurse, and the Canadian public health nurse, all three of them sound like fucking robots with lobotomies, and spend every fucking minute that they aren't talking to us taking some sort of speech empathizing course or some shit.
That only because.
And every day when it doesn't work, they double down and go, "Arthur, you have to care about me." No, I don't. You fucking retard.
11:18 in northern Israel, at least 44 people have been killed following a stampede at.
Chosen. They got to the head of the line, didn't they?
Of an area where they were celebrating a holiday called Lag BaOmer. This is a holiday that's full of bonfires, singing and dancing near the site where we are of the tomb of an ancient rabbi. So what's normally a holiday of celebration, last night turned into tragedy.
Are you talking about Jesus?
And inside the bonfire, it was crowded, and there were around 60,000 to 70,000 people, no place to move, and people started to fall to the ground. A lot fell to the ground.
Now, the Attorney General is launching an investigation to see what happened, to see why this area was so.
Your people are stupid. It's that simple.
And Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has now called for a national day of mourning this coming Sunday.
So from court.
And an independent commission looking into the devastating impact of COVID-19 in long-term care in this province is set to submit its final report today. The Long-Term Care COVID Commission has been tasked with examining what went wrong in the province's response to the first wave of the pandemic. 3,768 long-term care residents have died of COVID-19. Coming up just 60 seconds from now, we'll have a look at the roads and we'll check the extended forecast.
No gas price. So here's the problem. 3,700 and change people died. They get a commission. And it's closing today, even though the problem's ongoing. 1980, 30 old people died in a long-term care home, extended care nursing home fire. That's why they changed. It's not a nursing home anymore. It's a long-term care home. So when you type it into the computer, the 10,000 articles they wrote about nursing homes won't come up. 30 people died. They had a coroner's inquest and then a review into the coroner's inquest. It was a committee. It's no different than a commission. It's the same fucking thing. 30 people, not 4,000. 30 people got an inquest from the coroner's inquest. 4,000 people, you get a commission.
And Good Food, that's $80 in savings. Go to makegoodfood.ca to redeem your offer with the gift code GF80. Offer valid for a limited time for new members only.
680 news time, 11:21. Time now for traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Kyle Hawking.
And this report brought to you by TSC. Some good news on the eastbound 401. We had two collisions right near each other. The first one, approaching Islington in the collectors, has cleared. It was only on the shoulder. But the eastbound 401 ramp to Islington is still blocked off. There was a separate collision on that ramp. That's the one that happened first. Traffic had started to slow with the visual distraction of the collision on the ramp, and then the secondary crash in the collector lanes themselves happened. So the one in the collectors is cleared, but the ramp to Islington still closed, and it's still very slow in this section of the East 401 from the 427 to east of Islington Express and collectors. Again, the only thing closed is the ramp, but you've got quite a visual distraction of the collision on the ramp to Islington itself. A lot of traffic slowing to have a look at that. Now, what I was able to see was it was a vehicle into the back of a box truck. So crews are still working on the cleanup there. That ramp closed and that section of the East 401 heavy. That's the only eastbound 401 delay. And
so I saw someone in one of these small car-based SUVs. I forget which one. So it wasn't a Toyota or a Honda, I guess. Smashed into the back of one of these. I forget, but I think they're Sonomas, GMC Sonomas. Exterminator company, Rent to Kill or some shit like that. How do you fuck that up? By the way, the front of this car is all plastic. The back bumper on these pickup trucks is a piece of steel that is squarely welded to some more steel, and it's mounted the same height as your hood.
TSC now shop skincare.
Just wait till you start seeing the safety standards get reduced because, oh, it's an electric car, so it's okay. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You know.
Boy, do we do Christmas lights. Shack Shine! It would take you 7 Saturdays to do what Shack Shine can do in just a few hours. House detailing by Shack Shine.
ShackShine.com.
You stole the 1-800-GOT-DRUNK music.
Welcome back to Kelly Catrera on Global News Radio 640 Toronto.
All right, welcome back to the show. Good to have you along. Hour 3 of the Kelly Catrera Show on this Friday, April 30th. Things are zooming along. And yet another festival
they're going to keep dropping corporate names all day long.
Starting today, and it's of course viral because of the pandemic. Hot Dogs Film Festival
viral
starts
because
today.
of the pandemic.
Director of programming at Hot Dogs. Welcome to the show, Shane. It's good to have you on.
It's viral because of the pandemic. No sense of irony whatsoever. That's retardation. So viral. If you ever say, "Hey, make this go viral," that's not viral. Viral marketing started like 1999, 2000. By drink companies, the alcohol breweries, paying people to drink whatever beer or drink it is they're trying to sell. I swear to God, this is more than 20 years old. It's like 22 years old. And saying over and over how good this drink is and blah, 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 blah. That's viral marketing. So your initial sales, all your initial sales, you are literally paying for yourself. And then you pick up the people that, oh, I'll try one. This is viral because of the pandemic. Wow, I want to punch you and me in the eye at the same time for hearing that.
Podcast.ca or wherever you get your podcasts.
Well, he's been our leader and protector, you could say, for 40 years, but now after 45 years in radio, Scott Metcalf is calling it a career.
I challenge anyone in the broadcasting business to say a bad thing about Scott Metcalf. Right, current 680.
He's a racist, genocidal pussy with a lot of fucking evil things to say that he would never say to the face of a nigga like me. This idiot telling us what to invest in the last 20 years still has nothing to show for his life.
News director at 680 in 2003, and in 2018 started overseeing all of our news stations across Canada. His mentorship has meant a ton to thousands of broadcasters. His calm, trust.
That's when they stopped saying Toronto's only 24-hour live station because it no longer is live 24 hours.
Tie, because, 680 News were the green station. Congrats, sir. I'm Jeff Ramon.
Business is next.
Alpine Credits.
He means the fucking logo. All the news stations that are owned by Rogers have a green square logo.
Approved?
Yes. Okay, boys, you're standing on glove highs. Alpine Credits, where homeowners get it.
so audiences can watch that one.
Okay, you've got 219 films from 66 countries in 12 programs. 50% of the directors of the Film Fest are women, which is great. How many hours, have you broken it down? Can people literally start to binge today? And how many hours of binging would it take to watch all of the films? Has anybody done the math?
I don't know if we've done the exact math on that, but hey, you can get through a big chunk if you devote the time. If you could probably get through about 8 films a day if you committed all your waking hours to it, and that's 80 films over the run of the festival.
Now let's check into the Business Center with Chris McCusker. Chris, for shares in one social media site today, it's hashtag loser.
Yeah, it seems Twitter, Steve, has just not been able to monetize its social media platform, at least to start the year. So right now, shares in Twitter down by 13%. The company posted first quarter earnings, which did show a sales gain of 28%, but that fell short of its larger peers like Facebook and Google. The forecast for its advertising business and revenue also came in below forecast. And Twitter also took a hit as some advertisers pulled back on spending because of the riot at the U.S. Capitol in January. Now, shares in Twitter, sort of a statement on the day overall. We've got the S&P pulling back from an all-time high. It's down 25. The Dow is lower by 242, and the NASDAQ down 84, while the TSX is down 88, 19,167. Still looking at a gain this week of about 0.5%. Now, some more good news from StatsCan today. Our economy looking at annualized growth of 6.5% in the first quarter of the year. That is below expectations, but it's also very notable. Doug Porter is chief economist at the Bank of Montreal.
That's exactly.
So, sales are up 28%, but revenue fell in comparison to the stock price is different than the stock price of Facebook. From everything she just said, Twitter is the one to buy. I wouldn't buy any of them. I'm just telling you. That's what she basically should have said. In conclusion, she should have drawn from her own words.
The Canadian dollar right now is down by
sales are up 28%.
81.18 cents U.S. Oil
You said sales. Is that why would revenue?
A barrel. And then gold is higher just by $1 though to $17.68. I'm Chris.
Which is $200 down from $1,968. So that would be a shitty investment over the last 2 years. They all told you it's a great thing to buy. It's like $2,000 now. So buy it, buy it.
We've come so far together, and thousands of people across Ontario are getting vaccinated.
Wear a mask. Wash your hands. Keep your distance. Get a real job. Go the fuck back to school. Never mind.
6488 for assistance in 300 languages, paid for by the government of Ontario. It was likely a mom who said life is not a dress rehearsal. And this Mother's Day, the one day dedicated to moms, is your chance to show her how grateful you are. Moms are the rock, the glue, the heart and soul of
I know, I don't drop cigarettes.
Don't let Mother's
But
Day
it is
go by
interesting
without
magic.
showing Mom how much she means with a pay.
And then you can meet the filmmakers and hear more about the making of the film that you just watched.
I love
Why
that
did you
so
want to hear
much.
that after?
Well, one of the things that we do on this show, Chris and I are big fans of documentaries, as I said.
At the beginning, I want to see the director come on and say, hey, about 35 minutes in, the next 10 minutes sucks. That's when you go get your food and take a piss and come back, okay? Just trust me on that. Be honest and tell us which part of it sucks.
There might not be anything in it for me. Is there a documentary that you screened? Because, you know, there you are, director of programming for Hot Docs, that you thought, this probably isn't going to appeal to me, but I'm going to watch it anyways, that shocked you, that is a real standout?
So many. I mean, we get 3,200 submissions, so we're looking at tons of films, and the best way to watch them is to know nothing, to just go in cold and be like, okay, let's see what you got, and then be like blown away by what we've seen.
Really, because that's how we end up with you white people telling us this movie about black people isn't really that realistic. This movie about Asians isn't really that realistic. This movie about Indians isn't really that realistic. That's how we end up with that.
Measures, and our largest vaccine supplier changes the source for our doses. Hang on to your hats and everything else. It's windy! We're under a special weather statement with heavy winds up to 80 kilometers an hour expected all day.
And the outdoor farmers market at St. Lawrence Market will open its doors for another season tomorrow.
Why? Nothing but like the weirdest, rapey, fucking most corrupt, bribe-paying sex offenders in the city have the permits for shit like that.
In the month, and Canada's economy continues its pandemic rebound. Business at 56.
Hey, every time they do a spotlight on the place, there's always, oh, this person has owned their stand here for 76 years. Find somebody that's worked for them for 6 months straight that doesn't fucking hate them.
So that collision has closed the ramp, and it's being cleaned up, but it's causing a visual distraction for travelers on the highway. It's heavy from east to the 427 into both Express and Collectors to east of Islington as you pass by the area. Slowing traffic here along the East 401, but that's the only delay on the eastbound 401, and the westbound 401 still moving well. We've got a minor issue on the westbound 409 on the ramp to Martin Grove. The right lane still blocked for the stalled vehicle, but not impacting traffic all that much. The other slow spot is northbound 427. Still busy from the 407 on to the Highway 7 ramp, and that's as part of the long-term construction at the north end. You'll find as well on city streets, Rosedale Valley Road partially blocked west of the Bloor overpass, and that's because of a fallen tree. So we've got one and two lanes blocked here. What? And police on the scene along with city crews. They're allowing only one direction of traffic through at a time, so expect delays on Rosedale Valley Road.
By the way, city cops, they direct traffic, they don't move tree trunks. It's not generally what they do.
Sign up today at medicalert.ca.
Cops, are you help us move this tree? No, back to park right in front of it all day.
Cloudy, windy day for us with a slight chance of some showers. Those wind gusts could exceed 70 kilometers per hour. It was 9 degrees early this morning. That's our guaranteed high. We'll stay close to that through the day and then drop to 0 tonight. For today, the guaranteed high, 9.
Great.
All right, we got some sunny breaks right now in downtown Toronto and 9 degrees.
It's the more grapes. I didn't realize we there up there in the world.
71 kilometers an hour. Out of Pearson Airport, it's overcast and 7. 680 News Time, 11:33.
71 kilometers. That's necessary for some reason.
Ontarians are now eligible to book appointments at mass vaccination sites. This as the province continues a downward trend for new COVID cases.
Toronto's news talk leader. The coolest thing you've ever done to impress a woman.
1986, Calgary. My girlfriend says she misses me. I was in the joint. I escaped from jail. 7 hours across fields, getting chased by 2 dogs, 3 RCMP officers, and 2 guys on dirt bikes.
Dirt bike, meet dirt. The John Oakley Show. Sponsored by LG Home Comfort. Weekdays at 3 or anytime from Apple and Spotify podcasts. We are 640 Toronto.
Canadian Jim. Hold on. There's a point of diminishing returns. Canadian Jim. Break out and go where? Where are you going to go? Right. And what are you running from? Exactly. And eventually they're going to catch your dumb ass.
It was likely a mom who said life is not a dress rehearsal. And this Mother's Day, the one day dedicated to moms, is your chance to show her how grateful you are. Moms are the rock, the glue, the heart and soul of any family unit. Don't let Mother's Day go by without showing Mom how much she means with a pair of white gold Tears of Joy earrings from Spence for $1.99. As priceless as Mom is, she's...
To go for noon, no word on what, if anything, he may announce. Reporting live from Alex Bloomfield.
A push from provinces to strengthen Canada's land border with the U.S. and a new source for some of Canada's COVID vaccines.
Or a half ounce or
something. Likely be in focus as the Prime Minister is set to hold a news conference any moment.
Then he comes back and hands me half of what I asked for. Buddy, looking for something in the middle here.
Canada's largest vaccine supplier, Pfizer, has been sending us doses from their plant in Belgium. That's because American plants were off limits due to export controls put in place by the U.S. government. But CBC reports our vaccines will start coming from the U.S. next week, exactly when the drug maker is increasing its deliveries to 2 million each week for the month of May. A government source tells me the change will not impact our planned deliveries in any way. However, this does mean the U.S. is beginning to share more, and we will no longer be facing a threat of export controls from Europe. The Prime Minister is expected to address this, as well as the ramp-up of vaccinations, and his call last night with the Premier.
So what about all those doses that were cross-contaminated because you were making 2 different brands in the same factory?
For all travelers entering at land crossings from the U.S., That rule is currently in place only for air travel. Cormac McSwinney, Parliament Hill.
680
What about
news time,
trains? What about
11:36.
trains?
One thing you'll definitely notice no matter where you are today, especially outside, is the wind. 680's moment correctly, tightly secured right now. Enjoys the sound much with more of a special weather statement that has been issued.
Did you just say
I'm wearing
correctly?
anvils on my feet, Steve, to keep me anchored to the ground because it is windy out there, and our meteorologist Jill Taylor says under a special weather statement that's calling for some heavy winds that will last throughout the day.
And this is an all-day event, this strong wind. So once it gets going, already gusts have been about 30 kilometers per hour, but again, expecting even stronger gusts, and it will be with us
I got 1%
all day.
over.
Yeah, Jill says those winds could get up to 80 kilometers an hour at some point, so definitely keep both hands on the wheel. Anne Marie Aikens of Go Transit says it's already causing problems.
It's extremely windy, and there's some of our corridors, particularly the Barrie corridor and Stouffville corridor, are particularly being affected by the wind.
She says down trees and power lines are causing problems.
You're going to electrify the GO trains? You're going to electrify the GO trains. How?
Buses ready
How?
to get people safely to and from where they need to go, but says if you are taking GO Transit today, definitely check ahead before you go out there to see where the schedule is at. Reporting live, I'm Norman Qureshi.
Well, the City of Toronto says it was notified of a potential cyber breach that took place on January 22nd. It's related to a third-party file transfer software. The city says it shut down
Solar
access to the
winds.
software that day and has launched an investigation to figure out what kind of data may have been breached. The city says it will get in touch with anyone who may have been affected.
680 news time, 11:37. Well, the Torontonians getting more room to move starting this weekend, but it means, unfortunately, some lane closures on key routes. 680's Carl Hansky joins us from the Eastern Lakeshore with a bit of a heads up.
Another season of active TL means another round of closing car lanes and opening them up to walkers, runners, and cyclists. Those on 2 feet and on 2 wheels love it.
Lots of exercise, getting your vitamin D, having fresh air, it's healthy.
From 6 tomorrow morning until 9 Sunday night, the Bayview extension will be closed to cars, as will the eastbound only lanes of Lakeshore here by Woodbine Beach. These road closures are to allow people to properly spread out. For John, they also help beat back boredom.
When you go out and you walk around your neighborhood every day, you're walking around the same place over and over again. So it's nice to have some other alternatives.
Where the fuck do you think these paths are located?
Don't mind giving up the space.
A little more congested, but I pretty much stay home.
You can find all the road closure info on our 680 News website. I'm Carl Hansky.
And St. Lawrence Market is opening its outdoor farmers market.
Physical distance. I don't know anybody that's got within even 4 meters of me in a tee box. You give someone a lot of room when they're in a tee box. And quite frankly, my golfing skills blow, so we're nowhere near each other on the green.
Well, the thing is,
like, I'm
talking about
walking 2 steps to my ball, you're hiking down the fairway. That's not really true, but
And the thing is, it's something that people who are proponents of this we're talking about is how many people get in each other's cars to carpool to the golf course and things like that. Listen, like that, those kinds of people who are going to get into each other's cars are probably getting into each other's cars for other things as well. I think that honestly, what do you think that there's 4 people all cramming into a car? Maybe I'm naive, but anytime that I had to get into the superintendent of my building's car.
Rich people don't carpool.
That too, but like I went in the back seat. Like that's just how everyone has been doing these things, and I think that's just fine. And like you said, rich people don't carpool, middle class people don't carpool.
What?
Rich people sometimes go away on vacations when they're not supposed to.
The middle
and
class
that story's
people
back
don't carpool. You hear that self-affirmation he's trying to do there.
Bringing back the storyline.
You're not middle class anyway.
Heading
You got
to
3 different levels of middle
They
class. You either
basically,
own shit or you work.
Decided to pass on some emails they received
If you don't own
from the
shit,
Conservatives through a Freedom of Information
I wouldn't know what
request
that's
on
like,
the
so
Globe
I
and Mail
can't
that
tell
show
you.
on 2 occasions, Mr. Phillips, former chief of staff, informed the Premier's office that his boss would be away for a few weeks at a time, and in the case of the December holidays, the same parts
keep
suggested
screaming
that
at
Mr. Phillips would
Afro-Dutch
tell the
people, but
Premier
work,
directly. We
work.
had on Stephen Del
we've
Duca
heard that
this
one
morning,
before.
leader of the Liberal Party, to talk
I'm
about
wearing this
the
prison labor.
flip-flopping, but I think you recall this is what happened back at the end of December during the holidays.
First, the premier said he didn't know Phillips was away. He never told anyone he was leaving. Never told me he was leaving.
Now Ford says he did talk with Phillips while he was away.
I talked to him. That's where he was. He said he was away, so this is going to be an issue. My mistake. And I take full responsibility.
Well, I mean,
because he didn't ask if he was out of the country. They just played a clip from 6 months ago and acted like this is this week.
And he is still an MPP for Ajax, but he's not in cabinet anymore. By the way,
please stop soaking the tips of my cigarettes in plastic. I don't like it. They don't burn. They're completely defeating the purpose.
I think this is all about the rumblings about the possibility of Rod Phillips getting a new position if there's a cabinet shuffle within the Ford government.
I can't show you how much fucking
this is about establishing pattern, and I had asked when the emails were obtained, when they made that request, the Freedom of Information request for the emails, they being the Liberals from the Conservatives. He didn't have it.
So I have to break the tip off each one. There's still 2 more bands of fucking flame retardant, apparently. And because I have to keep relighting them over and fucking over, and they're so fucking short, I just threw a fucking lit cigarette and the cherry into a pile of plastic garbage. You guys are really slick at this fire prevention thing.
Stuff done, and then all of a sudden around Christmas time things started to slump a little, things started to not work so well, and I wonder how I would like to know how much Ford knew and when, because I feel like that at some point
I took off the first part. I've spent so much time just trying to get the flame burning, it's hit the second fucking ring of fucking flame retardant. Look at it, it won't burn straight. This is useless to me. I've now smoked a cigarette and a half, got no nicotine
in there who are really professional, but if they don't
get into a southwest wind for tomorrow, the start of May, some sunshine, then increasing cloud, chance of showers on Sunday as well of 14. For today, the guaranteed high 9.
And right now in downtown Toronto, it is 9 degrees. We have a mostly cloudy sky, and Pearson Airport is cloudy and 7. 680 News Time, 11:43. Now the Dynamic Funds Market Minute, live from the Business Center. Here's
These are the same people that will hand you a plastic straw and tell you that's an inhaler or a puffer. No, it's not. They will hand you in the hospital. This will make you go. No, it won't. Well, in my opinion, it's like this and it's like that. You ever have doctors insist they know what you do from the smell on your clothes? And they know what the smells are, too. Right. You don't do any of those things, but you know that's what's on me. Right. That's right. My lungs, I had H1N1. And instead of giving me any treatment at all, they're fucking bitching at me about cigarettes. And fucking damn near, I should have been hospitalized for the sickle crisis they caused. They should have been sued. They damn near killed me. Didn't call an ambulance for an hour and 15 minutes. These are people that knew I had sickle cell because they've tested my blood before and refused to tell me my blood type. That means the blood's sickled up on whatever test they were doing.
if there's an electrical.
And they present the Latin American as somehow being a person of color, and therefore this is not racist. Right, okay. How did the woman get anywhere near the fucking needles and shit if she's never been trained how to draw blood? Rich people don't carpool. I don't think you understand how they got rich, dumbass.
Couldn't get it till I split it in two and wasn't with it till it attacked you. Infatuation, verbalization.
Yeah, every time I look up, I want it to freeze with my face right there. Yeah, that's 5, 6, 7 times in a row. Trying to keep it up. So, sex offenders are so pathological. A psychopath looks at you like this. They look at your mouth. They don't need to see your eyes. This is why they're all flipping the fuck out with the screaming about it's normal to touch people. You have to let me touch you, and I need to get in your face and breathe. We need to share the same droplets and take your mask off. Psychopaths. So the one who's doing this digital harassment thing right now does not believe that I can see at all except for like this. And also seems to think I'm staring at the fucking TV screen at him or something. That's why I keep repeating that same dumb shit. Oh, some of this is very dark and some is very light. Let's go for this very dark piece. Chomo, the most predictable fucking The most predictable pieces of shit on the planet are the ones that think they're like that. I'm highly intelligent, and I'm like, what's the word? Head shrinker or whatever. They're gonna get inside people's head, and they think they learned a whole bunch of shit, and they fooled the system and so forth. They know the law, and they know how the police works, and they know how people's brains work. But Shomo has done the same thing on 2,200 videos in a row, about 100 times each. That would be about 220,000 times he said the exact same response to me. What am I? An adult that at one point was a child that he targeted and was never able to get close. And so he's losing his fucking mind. I know you would think conventionally they stay focused on the same age group. Well, I've broken this fucking Chomo's mind. He can't stand the fact that I exist. It ruins his god fucking complex of control, narcissism. Because whatever things he says about himself that are so great to himself, he cannot believe are true when he sees my face, because I exist, and he can't stand that. Like, even the throwing the blood in my face, I'm supposed to walk and go, oh no, I could have got AIDS. That's kind of like being raped or whatever. That's why they keep saying, that's why after the fact they keep trying to throw more threats and not qualifiers isn't the right word, but they're gonna do this and they're gonna do that and they're gonna do this. And, well, so what? Do it. No, you don't understand. I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. Fine, do it. You're a fucking, what are you, about late 50s, early 60s meth head. What are you possibly going to do to me? Throw blood at me again? You would have had to go and get AIDS in the meantime since the last time. So how does that reflect bad on my life? You know what this next generation going to be working on? Clearing up viruses and immunocompromised things, and prejudice that gets people's lives ended too quick. So once you people are out the way, it's term people because everybody else calls you people. Well, no, they don't. You're cadavers to me, but you're not dead yet, so I'll confuse people because we're dealing with actual dead bodies out there. Zero interference since I start pointing out about what Shomo's doing. Because what are you going to do? Attack the video now, fuck it up now, and what? I don't like being called a pedophile. I'm going to wave my flag. Okay. I've seen this piece of shit in like 4 days. Tried to hit me with a ladder on Monday. When I leave here, he's outside. That's why he keeps trying to fuck it for. So his day and my day schedule do not line up at all. He seems to think if he dummies the videos at night, I'll just get up and go outside. Go, what else will I do? Because I'm a meth head like he is. And I've got a guilty conscience, so I never sleep like he doesn't sleep. And I'm sitting here because there's nothing out there to do. There ain't nobody to make money off of. This way he goes fucking insane with repeatedly. We last about 18 or 19 minutes most, and do that 12 hours straight. That's 3 dozen videos in a row. Yes, he did. That was 2 weeks ago. Fucking done, Chomo. It's no different than he doesn't believe. I can hear the audio from this video on the other device. Doesn't believe it. He keeps trying to sneak. Like if he just turns off the audio and doesn't do any of the other acts and shit. But I'll tell you, there is a bit of a giveaway because the screen does this lock up shit 30 times in a row while you're doing it. Does not believe he's caught. No pedophile ever believes they're caught. To catch a predator, Chris Hansen. I'm Chris Hansen. No, you're not.
What happened, miss?
This car, it came out of nowhere. I couldn't get held away.
Did you get the license number?
No, it happened so fast.
Oh, and my favorite 2 things. Now this Chomo, one started yelling at me in the street. Keep it up, Chomo. Keep it up, Chomo. That makes a lot of sense for you to yell at me. And there's a visible age difference between me and him. He looks about twice my age. Yeah, so it doesn't make sense for him to say that about me. And the other one is he starts going, goof, you're a coward. Say something to my face. I'm like, I don't know who the fuck you are. Suicide Jones, and you too. You Suicide Jones. So you know who I am. I know who the fuck you are. Yeah, I got the hater shouting the nickname. That's perfect. The channel screen name, I should say. And I did tell you all 54 minutes ago that they changed the schedule for the press conference, so we're now early. Yes, Chomo, I've been burning your time.
Transmitted, admitted, you couldn't get it till I split it in two and wasn't with it till it attacked you. Infatuation, verbalization, spit at you. Duck the oral boomerangs back to smack you. Raw with disinfectiousness. Hydraulics got spring like mattresses. In fact, this is bionic Oldsmobile. The sonic wheels like Panasonic. We play this on Alpine units involved with critical napalm fluid. Platinum wrap, plutonium liquid. See how the flow leaks out the tap like water. Mega verbal slaughter. Silk sip, cheap, sick and short in the sea. You touch me, you catch a charge from the energy. I'm blessed with tremendously hot spit. Straight out the cockpit, distract the clock tip, then blah. The vocab is mad, meticulous in the way we split the alphabet. The track ridiculous, say the light. Peripherals match the hindsight. The high beam flow, it rise, right. Computeristic gamma, gangsterling, attacking analog, galactic sonic wheels, bionic Oldsmobiles. Computeristic gamma, gangsterling, attacking analog, galactic sonic wheels, bionic Oldsmobiles. Protocol, the master mechanic ratchet, twist me, it's the oscillator in me. One more prophecy of your mainframe, better yet brain frame. Please not attempt to refrain or restrain or catalog of rhymes, cause I was definitely dog mine. Fucking all my hoes from behind. Look at that fat ass, smack that ass. Hot nut skeet, wipe off your mother's sheet. Believe me, I've achieved the epitome of the automotive industry. Automobile, those that feel they can drive better than me, great. Take the motherfucking wheel and navigate. THP obstacle courses and impossible forces and transferred to you by me. By simple exchange of the Oldsmobile key. Drop the 1D and you know how my dick inserts perfectly. But just jerk me off, bitch. Look at me, I'm rich. Look at my old man, chrome cell phone. Why the fuck go home? Just kick back, clutch your tits and drink the nut and shut the fuck up. Computeristic gamma, gangsterling, attacking analog and galactic sonic wheels, bionic Oldsmobiles. Computeristic gamma, gangsterling, attacking analog and galactic sonic wheels, bionic Oldsmobiles. Extract the land of the lost, missile control, red view, air flight, out of fucking seats. Intervene in the breeze, overshoot, 3-point range at strange rates. Strange pace, opera sound, Shakespeare. Get my breaks done at great beer. Urination champion, ultimate breakdown, crazy legs spinning head. Break dancing with a bomb and fluid to get through it. Dancing like a ballerina with skates on. The Indy 500.
This is your genius idea to what? You're not going to prevent fires making people fucking blow the fire bigger. You're fucking retarded. You want to know who I'm criticizing? W5, I believe it was, the CBC did a whole thing on illegal Indian cigarettes that buy guns. Hardly. We already have the guns. We've had them hundreds of years. And the investigative journalist and the guy from the government spent 5 minutes straight flirting with each other, flitting their eyes and flirting with each other back and forth, talking about how cigarettes are and the details. Neither one of them smokes cigarettes, or if they do, has paid any attention at all to the products they consume, and just blabbering while they're hitting on each other on the fucking document. That's why I keep bitching about this shit. You fucking retards keep copying fucking homo fucking child molester motherfuckers as to how we should use our medicine. Get the fuck out of here. You're the same idiots. You're the same idiots that tell us cannabis has nothing to do with First Nations. White people brought that here. Really, really. 33,000-year-old fossilized cannabis seeds. And by the way, if it came from Asia, white people could have brought it. It's on the other fucking side of the island, stupid.
Computeristic gamma, gangsterling, attacking analog and galactic sonic wheels, bionic Oldsmobiles.
You may find this incredible and stunning. The tobacco is so it'll burn straight. So in the original tube with watermarks all up and down it, and in this mixed by hand, it still won't burn consistently. That produces twice as much carbon monoxide. There's nothing but monoxide coming out of it.
Then it took off without even slowing down. She landed hard on her back. It was terrible.
And even though they've been told for years about shit like this, they still have to test me and see if I'll notice. You did the same thing with the fucking expanded tobacco shit. You did the same fucking thing. Idiot white boy told you to buy the machine, so you did. And let's break it all up and fluff it out and dry it out first, and then make it. Just like Moses Snyder, right? See, Chomo's getting mad because he's white. He doesn't like to say bad things about white people. You see, I don't know if the camera's seeing it, but literally 5 times a second, there's fucking chunks of flame flying up, but it won't burn straight. So look at the tobacco, there's nothing wrong with it. It's been sprayed with something. So I go on and on how I know these assholes knew who I am. The marked numbers on the insides of the packs for one thing, but let's just put it like this. They know that the government-approved cigarettes in the store are soaked in gasoline. So when I was a kid, there were no catalytic converters on cars. I know what raw gasoline smells like and what it does to you. It can be addictive. And when they put it in cigarettes, yes, they do put it in cigarettes. Remember, it used to have on the Canadian packs, carbon monoxide, nicotine, tar, and benzene. Well, they took those off the Canadian packs. They don't want you to know that they're soaked in fucking gasoline. That's what benzene is. The reason I smoke unadulterated tobacco is because the gasoline is what makes me fucking chain smoke. So you're literally putting me back in the fucking cancer ward because you think it's funny. And you wonder why native kids huff gasoline. Look what you're fucking doing, stupid. And that's another thing. How come every piece of equipment you buy runs on gas? You don't like diesel? I'm gonna criticize you all to help. Because if I'm right, I'll be there waiting for you when you get there. I'm gonna criticize you all. Hey, yo, Stick, check this shit out on the news, man. I'm gonna criticize you all to help because I'm gonna be there first. I'll be waiting for you. If I'm right, I'll be there first. I'll be waiting for you, dumbasses. Everybody wants to take shortcuts with other people's kids' lives.
Motherfucking police.
That's how it's supposed to look when it's reached auto ignition.
Gunshot liquor.
That's how I know this shit's adulterated.
50 drum beating like so 50 on Trinidad when my boy smoke a coca. Your homie got hit, he was riding like a chauffeur. Planet of the Apes, I was blood like coca. Pull pop, come with a strap, swing off the shoulder. In the coffin, shutting the lid is giving you closure. You ever get closer, I'm coming out the holster. People ride the train, they're gonna see you on a poster. We poster, but you never talking when we approach. Get the black go online and now you're doing the most. Kill him in my yard, nigga, like I could host. Didn't notice they pull guns when you thought you could roast. Here's a dose. Know you love niggas, need some milligrams. Sitting with a milli, he be posting it on Instagram. Dust ass love me, selling quarters out the kilogram. Chrome polish so good, swear I used to pillow pack, baby. Fried chicken, oxtail gravy. Shaking up the ground like an earthquake in Haiti. Stop trying to rap, just like how you niggas don't see me. You got it. Yourself trying to play me. They said I wasn't sick, but I'm sick though. I give you gangster rap on Calypso. We never stop eating like it's a pit bull. And young boy can't stop squeezing, he got his shit on. Let's be with the hammers. Shorty in the kitchen, chicken like Louisiana. I kill her like Diana. I go to sleep with a rifle in my pajamas. I was childish, but
oh yes, ignore all inputs. Are you gonna guess what I pressed, Chomo, or should I just press it like 6 more times? Wow, Chomo is so creative. Me looking at my foot is like so.
Gunshot for your head time.
30 fucking seconds for it to respond, man.
That we beefing is so lame. I hung with them clips, no guns, blast, get it spit like old days. 4 white boys who let it sing like Coldplay. I sat back and got a flashback on my old ways. Like lock up, 30 shots up in the fucking chopper. He got shot, but shot back and couldn't see the doctor. Nigga bled out, cause nigga how it's better. Remembering the day my brother got it, couldn't get him.
Mr. Up and Down. Right.
Bad light-skinned bitches with a sweater. My city getting crazy and nigga. Moms losing their babies. I know the pain to have to carry my nigga to a place to get to bury my nigga. Fuck, well since then we got a couple heads to bury the trigger.
Remember, I called him out for 8 fucking minutes before he goes for his trademark move. Because none of your other scripts are working, stupid.
As soon as niggas slap that metal on that bottom here, I need no one. I'll blast it by myself and I'll keep beating metal to the plastic on the nose. So shots to the pin break. Niggas been fake and my pocket is that big J. Shotgun test, hit off his body, but I'm a pop gamer. You know me, I'm taking head off his body.
Yes, up and down. What did I just say? You're going to delay every fucking time I press a button, and it's going to go up and down and up and down and up and down. Wow. This is what you do to little kids, eh? No, but it's sexual to this idiot. This is him masturbating in public. No, I know, because he stands in front of the building pretending to jerk off. It's his way of, like, if you would flip somebody the bird, hey, fuck off. He thinks that that's appropriate behavior. All of this is sexual to him. Every fucking comment and threat he's made to me has been sexual. So on the screen here of this box, it's in and it's up and down, up and down. On the phone, it's in and out, in and out, in and out. Coming from a meth head pedophile who is so pathological he will not stop no matter what, no matter how caught he is, won't stop. Remember, I psychoanalyze this guy as being in a correctional facility, being assisted by the government somehow. What is it really? And he's being assisted by you too, the solar winds hack. Keep it up. Yeah, you've got an 8-second delay. 6, 7, 8. Watch. No, you're not gonna do it again. The last 5 times in a row that I fucking put my head at that angle. You're fucking pathetic, Chomo. You're pathetic. You're pathetic. 220,000 times in a row, you have done the exact same thing.
Looking like ketchup. Fuck ketchup.
And again, all I do is stop smoking the joint. Not that I give a fuck, really, but it's my video. If I'm fucking up back bad enough, I'll start another one and then relight it. I don't see what this does to stop anything I'm trying to do.
Gunshot liquor.
50 drum beating like so 50. Out in Trinidad where my boy smoke a coca. Your homie got hit, he was riding like a chauffeur. Planet of the Apes, I was blood clot coca. Pork pop come with a strap, swing off the shoulder. In the coffin, shutting the lid is giving you closure. You ever get closer, I'm coming out the holster. People ride the train, they're gonna see you on a poster. We poster, but you never talking when we approach. Get the black go online and now you're doing the most. Go kill him in my yard, nigga, like I could host. Didn't notice they pull guns when you thought you could roast. Use a dose. No, you love niggas need some milligrams. Sitting with a milli, he be posting it on Instagram. Dust ass love me selling quarters out the kilogram. Chrome polish so good, swear I used to Brillo pack, baby. Fried chicken, oxtail gravy, shaking up the ground like an earthquake in Haiti. Stop running around, just like how you niggas don't see me. You got Metro still trying to play me. They said I wasn't sick, but I'm sick though. I give you gangster rap, our calypso. We never stop eating like it's a pit bull. And young boy can't stop squeezing, he got his we with the hammers. Shorty in the kitchen, chicken like Louisiana. They chillin' like Diana. I go to sleep with a rifle in my pajamas. I was childish, but my Gambino no Atlanta. Gunshot for your head time.
For grind, nigga. TG.
Man, them niggas that we beefing is so lame. I run with them clips, my gun black and I spit like old days. 4 white boys who let it sing like Coldplay. I sat back and got a flashback on my old ways. Like knocker, 30 shots up in the fucking chopper. He got shot, was shot back and couldn't see the doctor. Nigga bled out, cause nigga how it's better. Remembering the day my brother got it, couldn't get us. So my friend got a Mac 11, send me to go better.
It is becoming more deadly.
This virus
it is becoming smarter.
It is mutant.
And God forbid,
it's not alive, but it is intelligent.
One day soon,
if you can't wrap your head around that, I'm sorry. It is intelligent.
Resistant to our vaccines. Because we're
It's a
learning
DNA
about
computer. It's the
terrifying
fastest
new
computer in the
variants
world possible.
every single week.
That could be conceived of.
And sadly, not enough is being done to keep these deadly variants out of Canada. Last week, the new Indian variant was reported here in Ontario.
Where's New India?
And it didn't switch.
No, we got East Indies, West Indies,
we learned yesterday
American Indian.
90%.
Where the fuck is New India?
Daily cases this week are variants of concern. The same variants that fueled our devastating third wave. And they got in because of weak border measures. I can't
bad light-skinned bitches for the setup. The city getting crazy, and nigga. Mom losing their babies. I know the beans have to carry my nigga.
Out of our country. The borders, land and air, they're federal jurisdiction. And I assure you, if I had the power, I would close down
ports of entry
immediately.
The ports, like the Toronto Port Authority, it's not City of Toronto. It's just named Toronto. It's
Because
federal.
I would do everything in my power to stop a vaccine-resistant variant from getting into our country and bringing a fourth wave with it.
India's only on second wave, eh? India's second wave is going to smack.
I once again pleaded with them to do more, to tighten the airports, to bring in mandatory pre-departure testing for those flying into Ontario from other provinces.
What about trains? Are there still trains
And
on?
most importantly,
Because where I live, I don't see passenger trains. I see freight
at
and
our land
commuter.
border with the United States by bringing in a mandatory hotel quarantine for those
I've
major
once seen a
land
Via
crossings.
train on the commuter line, and once seen a Via train
these
on
weak
the
measures
freight
at
line.
our land border
Exactly
to
once
get around
each.
the hotel quarantine. I want to thank our incredible border protection officers. These people are true heroes. They're doing everything in their power to keep our country safe, and I fully support them. The problem is with the measures in place, because as long as you can fly to Buffalo, take a taxi or a limo to the U.S. border, and walk across to Canada to avoid having
You can get your
to quarantine in a
vaccine
hotel,
faster than this socialized,
as long as these
subsidized
massive
medicine
loopholes
crap.
exist, we're not safe from these new variants. And I will not let this issue go because too much is at stake. Because I was the one who had to close our schools, close our businesses, tell you to stay at home.
I was the one who
when the
had
last
a.
variants got into the country earlier this year. And I will do everything in my power as premier. I will use every tool I have to make sure the action we need.
Hey, how come there's no wind noise on your
to make
mic?
sure I don't have to stand here one day soon.
I could have told you not to set this up in the front yard,
fourth
dumbass.
wave
80 kilometer an hour winds.
by a vaccine-resistant variant.
Your
We
pit bull
just
tell you
can't
not
let
to do
that
that.
happen. And I told the Prime Minister last night, I will work with him. I will do everything I can to
You will
support
work with him,
with
hey.
doing the right thing.
Does he know that?
Thank you, and God bless the people of Ontario.
Where the fuck are
We
you
have to
going?
take questions.
Okay, Premier, your first question comes from Christina Tenalia with CP24. Christina, if you can unmute your mic.
Hi there, Premier. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Thanks, Premier. Yes, thank you, Premier. So, Premier, our former Finance Minister, Rod Phillips,
This is the case for
he said
John
on December
Dollar.
the 30th, he never told anyone he was leaving. He never told me he was leaving, is what you said. You also said on December 30th that when you found out about the trip 2 weeks before, you should have told him to return home right away. Now, as you know, emails indicate your office knew as early as December the 4th.
Okay, so now,
So, Premier,
why are we talking about this?
when did you know, and what did you know?
Well, I can tell you exactly the same as what I told you before. The first time I found out was when I talked to him. And, I said back then, I regret not telling him to come home, which I did.
This is a South Central
shortly
Ontario
thereafter.
accent.
But, with Rod,
From the west
he
side.
made a mistake. He apologized. he stepped up, and he's no longer.
So
in the
I'm gonna talk right over it. My understanding was he knew the guy was going on a trip, didn't like the idea, didn't realize he was going overseas. He was going on vacation, I should say.
You know, he again admitted his mistake and paid the price.
I think this is the second chance he's had to explain that. He still hasn't said that way, like he did 4 months ago.
Christina, you'll have to unmute again.
Thank you so much for that. Premier, on what I was saying is you're clearly isolating at home at this time. On taxpayer, on sick days, you are on taxpayer paid sick days right now. The Ontario Science Table says Ontarians need 10 paid sick days. You're offering 3. When Stanley Brown was asked yesterday if 3 paid sick days is enough to drive COVID-19 cases down, enough to bring Ontario into a best case scenario, he replied with a firm no. So why do you think your plan will create any impact in tackling this pandemic this late in the game? And in saying that, I'm wondering if you can clarify where you've been the last week. Thank you.
Well, I've been here and I've been on the phone all day from 7 in the morning.
In the chat box of the comments. What do you prefer, parking lot, cremations, or being taken out into the middle of the lake on one of those ferries?
I want to make sure this message
We'll just tilt the dump bed over the edge.
We closed the bridge.
We're talking like 40 kilometers up, right near the middle.
At $200 a day, so that's a total of $600. We also have on the table to increase the federal government payment, which was basically below minimum wage, and we're acting and we're asking them, and we'll pay for it. The federal government up to $500 additional dollars, which will be $1,000 a week for 4 weeks. So that's now $25 an hour, opposed to under minimum wage that the federal government was offering. So let me just run through that. That's 3
days. But how much hours and dollars an hour and how many dollars you get in a day is the point. It's how many days in a row can you pull this off?
And then on top of that,
that's what you
we're
need to
offering $500 a week for 4 weeks, which is $2,000 on top of the federal government's $2,000.
It has nothing to do with the sick days.
$4,600, up to $4,600 if the federal government can work with the program that we have. So that hopefully will get people over the hump until they can feel better and get back to work.
Your next question comes from Miranda Redikoff with CBC.
Miranda.
Hi there, Premier. All the recent polls are showing that the majority of voters are dissatisfied with how you're handling the pandemic. What are you going to try to do to convince them that you are doing a good job?
Well, big barbecue in his driveway. Sure can't do that anymore, can we?
I do my job to make sure these variants don't come in through the border. Work with the federal government. Brenda, the 90% of our cases right now.
So this genius puts the OPP
and
on the Manitoba border
to make sure that we keep our
borders
closed and work with the federal government to make sure
where
they don't come in.
Or wherever the fuck these people are coming from.
Hard to get people vaccinated, and you know, I think the whole country has seen we didn't have enough vaccines. Now in May, we're going to have quite a few vaccines. We're going to continue getting needles into people's arms and continue working until we can crush this virus once and for all. But we won't stop working, and I want to thank everyone out there. Anyone that's
the virus will hear you,
or helping out at the vaccination centers.
I'm not with this guy, COVID,
for doing a great job. We still have a long ways to go.
Don't take it out on me,
40%, COVID. Before the time frame, before the end of the lockdown period. So everyone's working hard. We're going to continue working hard.
Follow-up. Why did your government appoint Norm Sterling to head the Greenbelt Council, someone who voted against creating the Greenbelt and then whose cuts to the Environment Ministry were later linked to the Walkerton E. coli tragedy?
Well, again, I would talk to the Minister of Environment about that, but we're putting together a good plan for the environment. We're going to invest over $1 billion to make sure that the emissions from the cars.
The cow fecal matter, when it rained and so forth, overflowed into the wells for the water supply. It killed like 30 fucking people.
Expanding the government, expanding the green belt compared to the last government.
Look that up. Walkerton, Ontario.
The green belt 17 times
water
for the
crisis,
developer
something like that.
I'm not doing that. I'm not touching the green belt. I've said that from the beginning. We haven't. We're going to continue down that track.
You said you were going to, and all the fucking gangbangers and yuppies got together and said, "What? No, you're not."
A few days ago, Prime Minister Trudeau.
He tried presenting the "there's not enough land in Toronto" bullshit. Over half our land's not developed.
He said no. Your response and his response to this virus will clearly be a massive part of both of your political legacies. And I'm wondering, looking back, is there anything about your provincial government's vaccination rollout that you think was a significant mistake?
Well, we needed more vaccines. And if you're asking me about the people putting needles into people's arms, they're doing an incredible job. People stepped up, hospitals stepped up, public health units stepped up, paramedics stepped up, firefighters stepped up. Everyone stepped up to help out. If you're asking me, would things be different?
In French,
if we were 45th in the world or 50th, whatever it was, yeah, it'd be different. If you're asking me, if we had tighter border measures at the borders, land and air, would it be different? Absolutely, it'd be different. Put that into perspective.
And sea and space and sky,
150,000 people came through our land borders in Canada. 36,000 a month are coming through the airport.
What do you do if an ICBM they said was coming in today? It's a warhead. It's this, it's that. It's this, it's that. It was just a bunch of Chinese astronauts
foreign students coming here.
Coming back
it's
from the
moon. It's about
moon.
having two sets of rules that the federal government's put down. There's one set of rules if you fly in, you have to quarantine.
One set of rules.
And by the way, people aren't doing that. Just to, get in on that one. Or in going to one of the land borders that people are driving up.
This one wants to be accused.
And getting
it's
out
trying
and
to be
walking across the
accused.
border. I talked to a taxi driver the other day. They had 400 cars, down at the border picking people up. The system is broken. All I'm asking the federal government to stop the variants from coming in. And these are deadly variants.
People are smart. They're not doing contact tracing.
Of all cases.
So they won't go through phone records of taxi dispatchers. But if you use Uber with your credit card, they're going to know what the fuck you did.
The UK variant was replaced and buried. One person that was quarantining, was living with another person, went in there, and there was 200 cases, and unfortunately, tragically, close to 100 people lost their lives because of the variants. Put it this way: if the borders were safe, the system would be working. I can tell you, and I think everyone can see, it's not working. The borders are broken. We need to fix it. I'm willing to work with the federal government to make sure we fix it and stop the variants from coming into our province.
Doug, did you ever own a GTO? Like, you just seem like the type.
Premier, the leader of the
How come there's no Pontiac? There's a Chevy, a GMC, and a Cadillac, Escalade, Suburban, Tahoe. It's like a Pontiac version.
We're now over a year into this thing, and that could potentially be a moment where she could give her party's input on how to beat back COVID-19. I know you said repeatedly that you need a team Ontario approach to beat back this virus. And I'm wondering if you see any benefit in meeting with opposition leaders to sort of combine knowledge.
Can we get all these stores to turn their ventilation systems on, please? I am so fucking tired of human beings that will sit in muggy, disgusting air.
We did sit down and we chatted. And
they really believe somehow it costs them more to leave the fan running.
And another meeting never showed up, sent someone else. So, something, I'm willing to work with anyone. I want to work with anyone. It's easy to,
you don't want to work with us.
In opposition benches and criticize. And I'm on the front lines. A lot of people are on the front lines. And, the federal NDP leader actually was echoing what I've been saying for months about the borders. That's what it comes down to. The federal government needs to tighten up the borders.
Right?
Now we have more vaccines in May coming in May, and we're going to get them into people's arms.
Who's the other one? Harji
We're going to work
is
closely
the defense
with the federal
minister,
government.
right?
We're going to work closely with the
And
municipalities.
Chonder drives a
and
dump
we're gonna get
truck,
through
and
this.
it's got his name on the side of the
Your
truck.
next question comes from Cynthia Mulligan with City News.
Hi, Cynthia.
Hi, Premier. I'd like to circle back to essential workers because we know that a lot of spread is coming from the workplaces. And yesterday, Dr. Stanley Brown made it quite clear that he doesn't necessarily, in the science table, doesn't necessarily agree with some choices that your government made. They say work sick days
Brown,
need to be more.
Monty McNaughton.
50% of
For good measure, you throw in Doug Ford, John Tory. These are the, we got a radio drama in the making right here.
Your government will divert them to 4 6 weeks. What is your response to that? And yet again, it seems like you're not listening to the science advisory table.
Well, again, let me put this into perspective. I had a long chat with Dr. Brown the other night. We had a good conversation with Cabinet with Dr. Brown. I appreciate everything that the science table is doing.
Doug, if you knew in high school, you'd be video chatting with all the leaders of the free world and business world all day and night long.
Most importantly, my chief
what would you have done slightly
officer.
differently?
And as for the sick days, I just ran through it. We want
His
to
generation didn't know the computers were coming.
Government's doing. We're filling the gap.
My generation started grade 1, grade 2.
Up to $4,600, and I think that's fair for a lot of people to get them over the hump.
Sign language is grade 2. The computers, I think, started grade 1.
Where these variants coming in? Well, the variants within the workplace, Cynthia, are coming from the borders, our porous borders that are coming in. That people, you see it on your own news. Hundreds and hundreds of people are trying to buck the system and walk across the border, and they don't have to quarantine. You can't have 2 sets of rules. Can't have the set of rules
if they're essential workers. Okay, well, fuck, God damn it.
Set of rules at the land borders. We're going to continue focusing on getting 50% of the vaccines, and after 2 weeks, we'll see how it goes. And we're also focusing on targeting high priority neighborhoods, or hot areas, if you want to call them. We're going into companies.
Every bus that rolls by, the ventilation system's turned off. I know. I can see the fans in the ceiling sitting. Instead of spinning.
Thank you, Premier. My other question to you is, the last time
even the mice know you need ventilation. Mice and ants know.
The best paid sick day program in all of North America. We know California offers more. Quebec and PEI, they have fewer days.
Fuck California, they got us all this emissions crap on the cars.
Was that just an overblown promise, Premier?
Well, no. Let's go back to what you just said. Quebec doesn't have a better sick day program.
What the hell California got to do with Brampton? Cutting them things off and selling them for scrap metal, dog.
Because I love Premier Legault. But we're offering up to $500 a week for 4 weeks. So it brings the federal government was offering minimum wage at $500. We're doubling that. So that brings it up another $2,000 and another $600. So I don't know, maybe you can show me anyone who's offering $4,600 a month. We've looked into it. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it across the country either.
Your last questions come from Morris Joan with the Globe and Mail.
Hi, Premier. Thanks for taking our questions. I just want to go back to the Rod Phillips issue. I don't understand how an email can be sent to your chief of staff. Your very top staff are saying the minister is going to be away. He's not in Toronto, and he won't be available in person for 5 weeks. I mean, how does that not set off red flags? And how is it possible that no one told you that?
Well, we have 72 members at Christmas. Everyone decides to either go to a cottage, maybe travel, but no one ever told me. And I can tell you, no one told me that he's leaving the country. When I found out, I addressed it with the media. And if there's one area that I wish I could have changed is when he called me. I should have told him to get back, but shortly thereafter, when I called him again, I asked him to come back. And he paid for that mistake. And he's going to continue working hard for the people of Ajax.
Okay, I thought people weren't supposed to travel at that time. I mean, you were telling people don't even have Christmas dinner with your family. So how can a minister leave the country without delegating power to someone? What does that say about your office? Have you changed anything? And also, can you clarify or tell the public if you're considering putting Mr. Phillips back in cabinet?
Well, first of all, I don't discuss any cabinet moves with anyone. And as for going back to that, again, Rod Phillips made a mistake. He didn't say in that letter that he was traveling anywhere, and I didn't see that. We have 73 members, and we're going to continue working hard for the people, or I should say, Rod's going to continue working hard for the people of Jackson Civil League.
What, like a war party? No, a political party.
He was a finance minister. He's no longer the finance minister.
Tell people what they can't do. Take their money. You lock them up if they don't do what you tell them. You can sell weed, but nobody else can.
To Premier
It's a
Doug
fucking
Ford,
game.
speaking today from the backyard of his home in Etobicoke, running down a number of different items, and we will touch base in just a few moments.
680 News Time, 12:26.
All right, now time for the 680 News Business Report, and for that, let's check in at the Business Center with Chris McCusker. Chris.
Well, Steve, Canada's economy could be looking at 11 straight months of GDP. We've already done 10 with a gain of 0.4% in February, and then there's an expected gain of 0.9%.
She left out a word. I know she did.
So in other words, Canada's economy is bouncing back from the pandemic. Now,
I guess it's going up.
Uneven, with decent returns.
You get to rewind. I don't get to do that till later.
Other industries struggling. Doug Porter is chief economist at the Bank of Montreal.
The real surprise here was just how strong things were in March. They're now estimating that the economy grew 0.9% in the month of March. And just to put that in perspective, before this whole pandemic began, sort of a typical month for the Canadian economy would be a gain of something like 1 or 0.2% of GDP. So first of all, the February gain of 0.4 is pretty solid, but the estimated gain in March is very strong.
The Canadian dollar is down by 4/100ths, 81.39 cents U.S. The TSX lower by 93, 19,162. It's looking at a gain this week of about 0.5% and higher by 2.5% this month. Gold is down $1, 17.66. Oil could snap a 3-day winning streak. It's down by $1.60 to 63.41 a barrel, up by about 7% this month. Now on Wall Street, the Dow is potentially looking at a losing week. Right now it's down by 207. The S&P pulling back from a record, it's down 22, and the NASDAQ down by 62. And then there is Amazon. So this stock hit an all-time high on Wall Street today, $3,554 a share. Right now it's up by 1.3%. So the latest earnings report, top analyst projections, the company expects demand for online shopping will remain high. Revenue up by 44% in the first quarter, and then the forecast for the second quarter was stronger than expected. So just to recap the week here, all the
we're gonna have GDP for 11 or 12 months.
Apple, Facebook, and Alphabet did beat.
Delegating power to someone, what does that say about your office? Have you changed anything? And also, can you clarify or tell the public if you're considering putting Mr. Phillips back in cabinet?
Well, first of all, I don't discuss any cabinet moves with anyone. And as for going back to that, again, Rod Phillips made a mistake.
In a hot-ass room staring at a candle with his hand on the handle of a Mac.
3 members, and we're going to continue working hard for the people, or I should say, Rod's going to continue working hard for the people of the Jackson Civil League. But again, he paid for that mistake. He was a finance minister. He's no longer the finance minister.
Thanks, everybody.
Wow. Okay.
Thank you.
And that is Doug Ford wrapping up his press conference from the backyard of his late mother's home, where he remains in self-isolation.
Canadian military
contact
Look at that.
with somebody in his staff who had tested positive the previous day.
Yeah, I'm supposed to write my name on the yellow part.
A lot to digest there. Obviously, the play here by the provincial government is to say that it's all about the borders. It's all about the borders and what's happening in
promoting it
Pearson
on
and what's
purpose, per se.
happening
It just
at
strikes
the
me the
land
fact-
border with the United States. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to give you my take on what we just heard, and I'm going to ask for your take as well. Is that whataboutism? Is that, Doug, for deflecting? Or is that really the true issue? Is it about the variants, and the variants are here because of a failure of the federal government? Mike?
Where he's been for the past 8 days.
Younger Ontarians can now book appointments at mass vaccination sites as the province's active COVID-19 case count drops for an 8th straight day. The Prime Minister seems to be dismissing provincial requests to bring in stricter travel measures at our land border with the U.S. as he urges people to get their shot, with vaccinations ramping up over the next month.
He's not in charge of the land borders. See, everybody just wants to keep throwing shit.
Blowing. We're under a special weather statement calling for heavy winds all day. The Blue Jays are back at it, starting up a series with
good time to invest in windmills now.
Will continue tonight. Sports at 45.
I've been bitching about the wind for some time.
Markets, but markets have seen gains in April. Canada's economy continues to show strength, and shares in the parent company of Popeyes hit a one-year high. Business
Restaurant Brands International.
Right. CTV News Time 12:31.
Time for traffic.
But the other big one to watch for owning
This report is brought to you by
Ladder in the Road. Let us on board. It's called Ladder in the Road.
On the major routes on the southbound
medium
404,
double.
approaching the 401 and the Express. The left lane closed there, but just a minor delay here on the southbound 404 as you head towards the 401 and the DVP and the Express.
Two guys fist fighting in the road. Like, what's the deal? That happens. And then somebody rolls up and shoots at them.
It's backed up from the 404 and the Express.
They shoot
And
back.
be careful Toronto bound on the QEW as you head up the Burlington Skyway. They've got the right lane blocked
Cops
there.
get out of there.
And
Still
that is
got
due
there.
to yet
Go. Fuck
another
it. Let's
stalled
get out of here.
vehicle. But just a brief slowdown in that area on the
Cigarette
Toronto bound
smoke up,
QEW.
right?
It's busy past that eastbound QEW as you approach Trafalgar 2-4 Drive. Just looks like some volume delays through that stretch. No problems on the eastbound Gardner heading into the downtown core. Northbound Don Valley Parkway, that's busy from about Don Mills to North.
What did we learn? Nothing. We learned nothing.
They spent that entire press conference telling us nothing. So this bucket's about
There's nothing. There's nothing. Other than nobody, not even Environment Canada, knows how much fucking rain is going to fall or how much falls where. They guess because there's like 3 weather stations for the whole city. But we've seen it. You can ask about shit like this. It'll rain or even snow in the middle of a sunny day. You can't see a cloud. It'll rain on one side of a building and not the other side. You can walk to the other side, look out the window, and then go back, and it's raining. I'm not fucking making this shit up.
And just 7 out of Pearson.
I was just talking about you behind your back, pussy.
We just heard from Premier Doug Ford for the first time since that tearful apology.
Right, that's why we didn't learn anything. Not so much because of him, because these idiots aren't going to work with him either. So, what's the fucking difference if he does his job or not? It's not
Yeah, good afternoon, guys. It was the first time we've heard or seen the Premier since last Thursday. He's been self-quarantining in his late mother's home in
Self-quarantining.
So question number 1 for the Premier.
Quarantine because I feel like it.
Where exactly have you been for the past 8 days?
Well, I've been here and I've been on the phone all day from 7 in the morning doing conferences, working as usual. The only difference is I'm here opposed to Queen's Park.
The Premier then went on to address the situation with long-term care. Later today, we are going to get the Long-Term Care Commission report in. The Premier said, listen, I can stay here and point fingers at the prior governments for the situation in long-term care, but that we, as in his government, are trying to fix it. The Premier also asked, and this is important, I think, about why he's still not listening to his own science table on a number of different issues. The science table has recommended reopening outdoor activities like golf, which the Premier hasn't done. It's recommended closing non-essential businesses, which the Premier hasn't done. Again, he was asked why he's not listening to his science table.
Well, again, let me put this into perspective. I had a long chat with Dr. Brown the other night. We had a good conversation with Dr. Brown. I appreciate everything that the science table is doing. They also, there's 2 parts to this. I also listen to the medical advisors, the CEOs of hospitals, and most importantly, my chief medical officer.
Reporting live, Richard Southern, 680 News.
680 News Time, 12:35. Ontario's vaccine rollout is expanding today, with a younger age group now able to book their shot. This as we see another day of COVID cases below 4,000. 680's Alex Bloomfield joins us live with everything you need to know. Alex.
Well, Sarah, there are a lot of good trends in the data. Resolved cases once again surpassing new ones. So the active case count is down for 8th straight day. A total of 3,887 new infections, over 53,000 tests.
I don't think these people understand how an infectious disease
in line
works.
with lower numbers we've seen over the past 2 days. 57% of the cases are from Toronto and Peel region. Hospitalizations dropping by 48, but there was very little movement in ICU occupancy. 21 more people died with COVID. Over 112,000 shots went into arms on Thursday, and the Premier says we'll cross a major milestone today.
By the end of today, we will have administered the first vaccine to 40% of Ontario adults.
Eligibility expanding on a couple of fronts this morning. First, the provincial booking portal is now open to everyone 55 and older in health units that use that central system. 16 pharmacies in Peel and Toronto are now offering Pfizer shots to that same age group. And the Education Minister also revealing any education staff not already eligible to book a shot will be able to do so as of Monday. Reporting live from Alex Bloomfield.
And to Ottawa now, where the Prime Minister is holding a news conference right now on COVID efforts with travel restrictions and vaccines in the spotlight today. Here's 680's Parliament Hill reporter Cormac McSweeney.
In a call last night with the premiers, they pushed Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on tougher travel restrictions, with Ontario even writing a letter demanding the mandatory 3-day hotel quarantine for air travelers is also in place for those that cross and land from the U.S. Trudeau defends the current system, saying there are very strict measures in place on top of what the U.S. already has around testing for people who fly into their country.
We're following very closely the numbers and the data we collect on these tests. Has been a extremely low and manageable number of cases.
And while he appears to dismiss the request, he says he'll work with provinces and territories, and mentions the feds will work with Ontario to possibly suspend
the quality of the weed he must be able to get his hands
in Ontario. Although he notes this is the only province making this request. Now, with provinces expanding eligibility and deliveries increasing significantly, the Prime Minister is urging all Canadians to go out and get their shot when they are able. He says beginning next week, Pfizer will start delivering at least 2 million COVID-19 vaccine doses a week. Between now and the first week of June, we'll see another 15 million arrive in our country. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
Well, batten down your patio furniture or anything that can blow away. It's going to be so windy at times today that Environment Canada has us under a special weather statement. 680's Momin Qureshi joins us live with more. Momin.
Sarah, I'm looking at my window.
Hey, that old white dude who's on in the morning used the term kicks today.
The winds pick up. Our meteorologist Jill Taylor says those heavy winds are going to continue throughout the day, so be prepared.
This wind is strong enough to bring down branches. We could be dealing with some power outages through the day today, and this is an all-day event, this strong winds.
Jill says the warning that we're getting says that winds could pick up to 70 kilometers per hour, maybe even upwards to 80, depending on what parts you're in. And we know it's already having an effect. Here is Anne-Marie Aikens with Go Transit.
There's lots of trees around our tracks, and the branches or the trees themselves have blown down onto the tracks, and that's obviously a hazard for our trains. So we've had to cancel some of our trains and give an opportunity for crews to go out and clean up the tracks.
So if you're on riding Go Transit today or
it's a theoretical risk for the train, really. The issue is if the train goes flying past and a tree goes flying off into the distance and hits somebody.
680 business editor Chris McCusker is here to explain.
The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission is reportedly probing the American unit of Volkswagen after the marketing stunt
that's not my problem.
Just ahead of April Fool's Day. The company falsely said it was changing its name in the U.S. to Volkswagen to show its commitment to electric vehicles. The problem is publicly listed companies are not supposed to fool their shareholders. After the announcement, at least one analyst praised the name change, and VW's preferred shares rose before the company set the record straight.
And then they said
has not disputed the reports, which are coming from German publication Der Spiegel. At the Business Center, I'm Chris McCusker.
1239. In times like these, shouldn't your money work even harder for you? We think so.
Take it easy, Hans. It was just, you don't have a word for joke in German. I got the German quick learning book here. Plus, I guarantee it doesn't have a word for funny.
That's the Duca difference.
And now, get rates as low as 1.59% on a 3-year fixed mortgage when you switch to Duca. Find out how at mortgage.duca.com. Do more.
If you ask Google, how do you say funny in German, Google will come back with, don't worry about it, because you won't say that in that language. The only issue I have.
A place to get to bury my nigga. But since then, we got a couple heads to bury the trigger. It's like what I keep a gun for. Cause in these streets, it's a bad sport. Not to mention links from the gun store. You shouldn't have brought him here.
The only issue I have is Volt is somebody's name, Volta. They didn't address that. Like, Volta's descendants could be like, no, we're not associated with your company, so you owe us damages. I know I have fire starters here or some type. Oh, so everything stopped working at once again. One of these fucking books here, forget which one now. So applied static strength and materials. I don't know. It says that the unit numbers are to be written with lowercase letters except where it's somebody's name, like volts is Volta, Watts is from, I believe it was James Watts, the steam engine or some shit like that. I think. Pretty sure Ampere was somebody's
gunshot
name.
liquor. 50 drum beating like sofa. Out in Trinidad where my boy smoke a coca. Your homie got hit, he was riding like a chauffeur. Planet of the Apes, I was blood clot cobra. Pork pop come with a strap, swing off the shoulder. In the coffin, shutting the lid is giving you closure. You ever get close, something coming out the holster. Keep around the train, they're gonna see you on a poster. We poster, but you never talking when we approach. Get the black go online and now you're doing the most. Kill him in my yard, nigga, like I could host. Didn't notice they pull guns when you thought you could roast. It's a dose. Know you love niggas need some milligrams. Sitting with a milli, he be posting it on Instagram. Dust has lummy selling quarters out the kilogram. Crumb pies so good, swear I used to pillow pack, baby. Fried chicken, oxtail gravy, shaking up the ground like an earthquake in Haiti. Stop running around just like how you niggas don't see me. You got it. Straight yourself trying to play me. They said I wasn't sick, but I'm sick though. I give you gangster rap, our calypso. We never stop eating like it's a pit bull. And young boy can't stop squeezing, he got his we with the hammers. Shredding in the kitchen, chicken like Louisiana. Chillin' like Diana. I go to sleep with a rifle in my pajamas. I was childish, but my Gambino no Atlanta. Gunshot for your head top. Grind, nigga. TG. Smell them niggas that we beefing is so lame. I run with them clips, my gun black and I spit like Obey. 4 white boys who let it sing like Coldplay. I sat back and got a flashback.
I thought the air horn was a train.
Always like blocker. 30 shots up in the fucking chopper. He got shot but shot back and couldn't see the doctor. Nigga play out, cause nigga how it's fed up. Remembering the day my brother got it, couldn't get up. So I went and got a Mac 11, see just go better. And 2 bad light-skinned bitches put a sweat up. My city getting crazy and nigga. Moms losing their babies, I know the pain to have to carry my nigga. To a place to get to bury my nigga. Fuck, but since then, we got a couple heads to bury the trigger. It's like what I keep a gun for. Cause in these streets it's a blood sport. Not to mention links from the gun store. You shouldn't have brought him here. The kitchen bodies here. As soon as niggas slap that metal on that bottom here. I need no one. I'm blasted by myself. And I'll keep beating metal to the plastic on the nose. Shoot shots to the pin break. Niggas been fake. And my target is that big J. Shot. Gun test.
Welcome to Big Mom Matters, a podcast about big.
A Glock 19 will shoot 2,200 rounds of ammo before it pops right up. With a full auto series, it's right up front. Okay, I think I know what happened. I think it flew by in the lane right up front. There's more coming. And if people want to fuck around with all the ventilation systems turned up, you can see when the bus goes by. There's on some of them. There's 5 circular fans in a row. They're not moving. They're doing nothing. Why is the ventilation systems on all these vehicles turned off? All the buildings, they're all turned off. These idiots that make the decision will try to, oh, well, we don't need it, or somehow they're saving electricity. Watch out for anybody uses that word saving. Ask them to explain what they mean. They can't. All these buildings, you go in, it's been the same air all fucking day. I'm not sure what the humidity is outside, but it looks like it's raining, but it's not raining yet.
People, politics, land, and water. I'm Glenn Wheeler.
So I was thinking that it's interesting the way this virus adapts to animals and people and shit. And I was wondering why so many humans do everything exactly the opposite you should do when it comes to spreading disease. Look, these people are all clustering around each other in places with doors shut and fucking no fan or air conditioned dehumidifier, anything at all running to circulate the air. Doing everything they can to fucking make themselves sick. And so you have to look at things in reverse. If the virus exists and it likes those conditions must exist for some reason. You have to assume those conditions exist. Human beings must be doing this shit. And I was thinking, bats, the way they live in a cave, all huddled close together, that's a particularly bad place for a virus like this to take hold and spread. But bats wouldn't normally come into contact with that type of coronavirus. They eat fruit and insects. They come out at night. They don't see things the same way we see them and shit. They don't generally get near enough to any other animals to catch this shit, except for people gathering them all together and stacking the cages up. Right. So the animals that would be susceptible shouldn't even be getting exposed. That's us too. We shouldn't even be getting exposed. Look around you everywhere right now. Anywhere where there's a thermostat, there's a fan. Oh, and you may think, oh, open the window. But that's great. So all the air from my house is blowing into the next house. That's great. But it does nothing for fire safety or oxygen content or any other damn thing.
I got a lifetime fever. I don't gotta spit. I fall for still eating. I got a lifetime fever. I don't gotta spit. I fall for still eating. I got a lifetime fever. I don't gotta spit. I fall for still eating. 38 revolver flow. 38 revolver flow. 38 revolver flow is hard to trace. Whoa. Whip it real hard. In the kitchen, whipping up that freaking good real hard. Bitch, I hustle real hard. Bitch, you hustle real. With all due respect.
So they call in the military, and what is this, like 3 dozen people or something working at Sunnybrook and working at one hospital, and they started yesterday, today? Because this morning was, so the solar day, that was the end of my day. Yesterday's sunset was my sunrise. But in the last 24 hours, the military started working at the hospital. The Canadian military's big contribution is about 12 people.
I don't have pity for none of you godless heathens. That's just the way I feel. Screaming native lives matter, but Indians would rather drink whiskey than pay their bills.
Now, in my mind, he's talking about white people, and then that last part there, he's just repeating what he's heard them say. Never mind.
This and native that, root for a red skin and get a native mad. As soon as I say I'm native, everyone reacts and wanna hate me and call me a vulture because my hair ain't black. But my skin and my eyes ain't brown. When I see you at the last powwow, talking about genocide like you was around back then, like you was really hunting and gathering back then, like you was really warrior up back then. Okay, look. I heard you want to complain about the conditions you from, so it's worse than the ghetto, yeah, it's worse than the slum, but if it's so fucking bad, then why don't you run? America's free, you stupid idiot, you can do what you want. I work my ass off and pay my taxes for what? So y'all can sit on the grass, free everything and pretend you stuck. But yeah, you're sitting there spending money on liquor and drugs so you can drop your babies off at your sister mother recovers. Man, y'all already late. You motherfuckers need to get your goddamn priorities straight. Wait, it's like you're proud to be drunk, lazy as fuck. You'd rather do drugs than get a job and be up. But then you want to turn around and complain about alcoholism and addiction rates. Get the fuck out of my face. You can't escape the problems. You can smudge for change, but can't earn a dollar. You got nobody else to blame, so you blame Donald. So it's fuck the world with America great again, kind of. And my voice ain't missing, I'm not racist. My great-great-great-grandma was Indian, I'm not racist. My family told me she was a strong and proud Cherokee princess. I heard y'all was fighting the feds. That's probably why there's not enough jobs on the res. Well, maybe you should build a Walmart and evolve instead of cashing per cap checks and staying drunk till you're dead. I'm not racist, but I never lie. I think there's a disconnect between your culture and mine. I worship the Einsteins and study the Steve Jobs, but you ride crazy horses' dick like he was a fucking god. Oh my God. All you do is care about drinking and drugging and bitching about something, but that's just the Indian within you. The old ways is right. In your brain, and it slowly starts to convince you. Then you allow your kids to join you, and the cycle continues. Blame it all on the menu, blame it all on the trains, blame it on everybody except your own race. Blame it on.
And I've never heard more incompetence or witnessed more incompetence. We weren't prepared for this. We're not learning. It doesn't seem the right arm knows that there's a left hand. And really, next time you go vote, just put a slash through the ticket. I don't care what election, what party. And vote no confidence.
You just pox on all their houses, Lou. You just have no confidence on.
Well, it's just a ton of noise. It's a ton of noise every day. It's more noise, more different. I mean, yes, you should close the border. I'm a biologist. I predicted every single spike in the wave that's come across, and I can't figure out why they can't do it with all the experts.
So in reality, you know for a fact they have.
Thank you
so
very
in reality,
much.
you know for a fact they have.
Margaret's on line one. What do you make of what Doug Ford had to say? Talking about the border and the variants are the issue. What's the issue in your mind?
Oh, I'm appalled. I'm an RN currently working in long-term care, and what I see with this government is a total lack of accountability and just deflecting the issue. The border should have been dealt with a year ago. So having said that, my long-term care facility has just come out of lockdown. We had 5 staff members who were positive, 3 were vaccinated, and 2 were not. And
see, 3 vaccinated, 2 not vaccinated. They all got infected.
So long-term care.
Herd immunity.
No improvement since since first wave.
Margaret, you said Steve began his press conference by saying that he wasn't going to pass the buck on whatever is going to come out in this long-term care commission report this afternoon. What'd you make of that?
He said that last February. He said, we're going to put an iron fence around these people. We're going to protect them. There's been no protection whatsoever. There's been no increase in staffing, no increase in pay. It's actually been worse. And
instead
now
of the iron wall
about,
and iron fence,
people,
there we go. That's
staff
not
members
that'll set these old people off.
they're
You
now
can't use
going
that
to allow
term,
them
man.
to work in multiple care homes, which seems ridiculous because if you can still get COVID if you've been vaccinated. It's just a milder case.
Thank you. Wow.
So long-term care is still not a priority with this government whatsoever.
You're still going to all have to turn the ventilation systems on in your house. I don't understand why people are so opposed to that.
Thank you so much. We'll be looking forward to that report this afternoon. Stay with us here on Global News Radio. We'll get that to you. But 416-870-6400, what'd you make of what Doug Ford had to say? Mr. Dave, you got me?
He's saying I can see it isn't enough.
Started the fire?
When the whole purpose
Hit me again. Hit me one more time. We didn't start the fire. Yeah, Billy Joel.
Now what do you
that,
want?
of course, is Marilee Fullerton. Yesterday, talking about long-term care, saying, well, we didn't start the fire, but who did start the fire? Let's
extended care nursing home fire.
Bring it up a level in terms of Doug Ford now saying, well, the fire is being stoked by the federal government's inability to deal with the borders. Sonny, you're on line 3. Go ahead.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. What's your take on what you heard from Doug Ford?
Well, firstly, let me just address that point of Mary Lee Fullerton. I don't think she knows what she's doing. She doesn't know that she's the minister responsible for long-term care. Because if my memory serves me correct, that she was notified not by the nurses or the PSWs, but the Canadian military about the shortcomings of what is happening in long-term care.
Sonny, I'm almost running out of time, so let me just steer you over to the border issue. What'd you make of?
You've got all the fucking time in the world, buddy.
Because of the border. It's the border, it's the border,
Keep it up,
it's the border.
Jomo. Keep it up. Yep. 8.5 second time delay. We know.
The variants have been on the books from South Africa, from the UK, and from Brazil, from almost 3 months or 4 months into this pandemic. So don't tell me that the variants are only coming across the border now. Where was he then prior to that?
I was sick in December. I was the first one screaming about variants.
Finding out
you
that
can't see it from that angle.
Variants.
Well,
I'll give you credit for that one. You couldn't see it
for a long time. The airport is an issue.
I'll play along.
It's not a come to Jesus moment for him. It's not the first time the Premier said that.
No, I don't disagree personally in terms of what should be done. But to come now and sort of plead that innocence, like he's pleading even, let me just jump to something else about Rod Phillips. Perhaps he should read the letter that his staff or he received. With the reporters have questioned if he knew. That letter also states that you will be informed personally. Mr. Ford will be informed personally. So I don't know how he can say with a straight face that he wasn't informed. And if you are the premier of this province and your minister of finance, the person responsible for the money in this province is out of the province for 5 weeks and you don't know about it, then you don't deserve to be the premier.
Thank you, Sonny. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. We are out of time. Mary Lee Fullerton, can you play us out, Mary Lee?
We didn't start the fire.
We didn't start the fire. My name is Alan Carter. Thank you for sticking with me here on Global News Radio. Join me tonight on television on Global.
Restrictions that were implemented earlier this month, including right here in Ontario. Doug Porter is chief economist at the Bank of Montreal.
The renewed restrictions, especially in Ontario, essentially began almost at the start of April. So in reality, these reports are more about the reopening and have nothing to do with the third wave restrictions. And in the weeks ahead, we are going to get preliminary evidence on how the economy fared in April. Most notably, we're going to get April employment next Friday, and I suspect it's going to be ugly.
The Canadian dollar right now is down by 4/100. 81.39 cents US. Now the Dow is lower by 222. The S&P pulling back from a record, it's down 24. And the Nasdaq down by 84. Watching shares in General Motors on Wall Street moved higher by about 1%. The car maker is extending its shutdown at the CAMI plant in Ingersoll, Ontario until the end of June. And yes, it's because of the semiconductor shortage. I'm Chris McCusker.
You thought you were going to say COVID.
680 News.
You've been at home for a while.
Good, so maybe they can sit at home and not get sick for a little while.
Your social life is at home. Virtually, dining out is now dining in. It's time to invest in your health and sanity.
Semiconductor shortage. Jesus.
White privilege is blaming the white kids, blaming the white citizens instead of changing how you live. Man, y'all just a bunch of savages. Trying to stop a pipeline, burning cars and mattresses. Water is life. I'm assuming you drove a car. That's kind of ironic with the battle you're trying to fight. I'm not racist. But look at the feathers that's taking over your hat. What are you taking? Where did you get your civilized training at, what? Cut the fucking hair, you goddamn Indian. Put your fucking shoes back on. Wash your face and stop singing your songs. Quit the Indian stuff and maybe the government will stop killing you fucks. Yo, what the fuck? I'm not racist. It's like we live in the same building but split into 3 floors. I'm not racist. but there might be three sides to every story. With a little respect, I know what happened to you natives, man. I agree it was bad, but that's y'all's fight, y'all's problem. That shit isn't labeled black. And a matter of fact, how you gonna get mad for me for liking the football team when you steady acting black? Trying to rap, busting a sag, saying the verb nigga, but nigga, you ain't black. I'm not racist. See, I understand you think the word red skin is equally bad, but have you ever met a black NFL on a man that's equally sad? See, we don't have no control over that. That's the white man with the power, so go argue with him and try to get some of your land rights back. Oh, now it's cultural appropriation. No, motherfucker, please. Getting mad at Nicki Minaj and Snoop Dogg for wearing a chief head trash when you should just be relieved that they're keeping your culture alive without charging a motherfucking fee. Hip-hop's a black thing, motherfucker. Y'all just wish I was a black name, motherfucker. Y'all don't know about Tupac and gold chains, motherfucker. I'm not racist. My great-great-grandma was Indian. I'm not racist. My family told me she was a strong and proud Cherokee princess. Check out my good hair, check out my cheekbones, check out my brown eyes, check out my skin tone. I'm not racist. I'm just prepared for this type of war. I seen those Indians on the MTV Music Awards. What the fuck are they fighting for?
Gains in the month of April. Canada's economy continues to see growth, and shares in Twitter take a big hit. Business at 26. 680 News Time 101.
All right, now time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Everything's looking at their
The northbound 427 approaching the 407 reports of wood debris in the center lane.
Wood debris, center lane. Who called?
From a traffic spotter, so I'll call NTO right after this report. Again, that's northbound 427
Who
approaching
called
the 407 in the center lane. A bunch of lumber is busy just past that from the 407
Three
onto
firewood.
the Highway
Whoever
7
called
ramp.
wood debris, center
Northbound John
lane.
Valley Parkway, no problems, but it's
get to
busy
make a
from just
donation to
north
the
of John
cause of
Mills
your
to north of
choice.
Lawrence. Looks okay onto the northbound 404. And the westbound 401 is lightly traveled now across the city, but we do have just a slight delay approaching Mississauga Road. Express and collectors.
I didn't think of lumber. Where do I see rolling? Why do people build their houses out of wood?
After that. And we're looking
You
at a
got
great
one.
drive
Use
making our way
concrete.
across
The
the
fuck's
city
wrong
and
with
heading
you?
into the Durham region. On city streets, we have construction on Keel north of
Take
Wilson.
the fire
So
insurance
lanes
the
are
rest of
reduced
your
in that
fucking life,
area.
but
It's
you won't
really
build
heavy
with bricks and
northbound Keel
concrete.
from the 401 to north of
Steel
Wilson.
or something.
Stepbound delays start around Tavistock. And you'll find the traffic lights out at Woodbine and Bloomington and at Woodbine and Aurora Road. So remember to treat those
Eventually, if enough bad
intersections as
stuff happens,
always
there'll be
stops.
nothing but steel and
For a limited
concrete buildings
time,
left,
lease a
right?
2021 IS300 all-wheel drive at Sport
yeah, well,
Series 1 at 2.9%
you can't
for
run all the
39
scripts at the
months
same
with
time,
bi-weekly
we
payments
can't
from
pay this fucking
$228. See Lexus of Oakville.ca. And now with the forecast, here's Jill Taylor. It was 9 degrees very early
Where's
this morning.
Stan?
That's our guaranteed high for today. We'll stay close to that mark.
Can't
Strong
figure out why I
gusty
can't
wind
find
force.
that.
Gusts could exceed 70 kilometers per hour out of the west-northwest. More of a northwest wind tonight and still quite
that
strong.
doesn't help
Slight
either,
chance of
because
showers
people
late
are
in the day.
fucking-
For today, already reached our
Every time I look
guaranteed high.
towards the screen, I want it to
Mostly
do that.
cloudy.
Every
A
time I
few
look towards
pops
the
of
screen, I
sunshine.
want
It's
it
9
to freeze
degrees.
up.
680 News
Some
Time.
weird
103
angle on the highway.
Well, it's been a while since we had a news conference from the Premier, and today Doug Ford took some heat on everything from paid sick days to his former finance minister.
680's Richard Southern has more on what the Premier had to say.
The Premier emerged for the first time in a days to face the cameras. He's been quarantining in his late mother's home in Etobicoke. What exactly has the Premier been up to?
Well, I've been here and I've been on the phone all day from 7 in the morning doing conferences.
Smoking
working
OG
as usual.
Purple Kush mixed together in the basement.
Days
A
his
little bit of
government is
skunk
now
on the
offering.
side,
Just
right?
yesterday, Dr. Brown from the Science Advisory
You
Table.
go for
said
the,
that
he goes
is
for the
nowhere
Ontario
near
like a
enough.
Laker
With Dr. Brown, I
rather
appreciate
than the Alberta
everything
vodka,
that
the
science
B2A
table is
wines.
doing. I also
Yes,
listen to
Choma, we know you're there. We know you're
CEOs
using
of
the
hospitals,
fucking admin
most
credentials
importantly,
on some
my chief
fucking
medical
YouTube
officer.
account.
The
We
Premier
know
also
you're
asked
going
about
to
new
harass
documents that
us
show
all
his top
fucking day
staffers
long.
knew Rod Phillips would be
220,000
away
times
ahead of
you've
Phillips'
done
trip to
exactly
St.
as
Mark's over the holiday.
Well, we have 72 members at Christmas. Everyone decides to either go to a cottage, maybe travel, but no one ever told me.
Okay, I thought people weren't supposed to travel at that time.
Again, Ron Phillips made a mistake.
It also said the province should reach its target of vaccinating 40% of adults by May. I'm Richard Southern.
Now, the Premier also talked about land borders and the need to do more to secure them, especially as variants of concern continue to grow.
Get like
Now,
8.5 seconds notice.
3,887 new cases of COVID in this
Know your
province today.
triggers.
And
Know your
obsession
obsessions. We know.
4,000. And 6 Cities Alex Bloomfield joining us live now with more
Yes.
on
Every
that
time I look
border
towards the
push.
screen, I want it to
Yeah,
freeze
that's
up
right,
and
Steve
lock
Premier
up.
Ford calling for several changes to border rules, pointing out that many are now flying to border cities and using land crossings to walk into the country from the U.S.
I talked to a taxi driver the other day. They had 400 cars, down at the border picking people up.
You're odd way of threat.
Ford is asking the federal government to bring in mandatory 3-day hotel quarantines at land crossings, as well as suspending the entry of international students. Prime Minister Trudeau says Ontario is the only province to ask for the latter measure, and he is willing to work on it.
We're happy to work more narrowly with them. We'll be reaching out to their officials today to formalize that request.
However, Trudeau would not commit to bringing in a quarantine for land entry just yet. Reporting live from Alex Bloomfield.
Well, Canada is going to start getting regular COVID-19 vaccines from plants in the United States, marking a shift in the supply chain for our doses. With more on this, here's our Parliament Hill reporter, Cormac McSweeney.
Throughout the pandemic, Canada's largest vaccine supplier, Pfizer, has been sending us doses from the plant in Belgium because American plants were off limits due to export controls put in place at first by the Trump administration. But Procurement Minister Anita Anand confirms that will change in a matter of days.
Yes.
They will be shipping Canada's doses from Kalamazoo beginning next week. We expect to remain on the same delivery schedule.
That means we'll still be getting our 2 million doses from Pfizer each week in the month of May and 2.4 million a week in June. The U.S. has begun easing earlier restrictions on vaccine exports, which could signal a positive sign for the 20 million doses of AstraZeneca shots that Canada's paid for but has not been able to access, aside from a single loan of 1.5 million shots last month. Minister Anand says those talks are ongoing. Next week starts the significant ramp up in deliveries between now and the first week of June, and we're expecting a total of another 15 million doses to arrive. That will double the total amount our country's received.
Last time I went to
Justin
talk,
Trudeau
the
urging
wind was
everyone
blowing
to
too.
roll up their sleeves when it's their turn. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
680 News Time 107. One thing you'll definitely notice, no matter where you are outside today, is the wind and just how strong it is. And 680's Momin Qureshi joining us with more now on a special weather statement that's been issued and why exactly that is. Momin.
Yeah, that's right, Steve. If the tree outside my window that's swaying side to side is any indication, it is windy out there. Our meteorologist Jill Taylor says it's the kind of wind that can cause some damage.
And this wind is strong enough to bring down branches. We could be dealing with some power outages through the day today. And this is an all-day event, this strong wind.
And that wind is causing some damage already, as we hear from Anne-Marie Aikens from Go Transit.
There's lots of trees around our tracks, and the branches or the trees themselves have blown down onto the tracks, and that's obviously a hazard for our trains. So we've had to cancel some of our trains and give an opportunity for crews to go out and clean up
It's a
the
monkey to
tracks.
cocaine.
So it's one of those days where if you're out driving around, keep both hands firmly on the wheel as your car will get moved around a bit. Keep it locked in 680 News. We'll bring you updates throughout the afternoon. Reporting live, I'm Momin Qureshi.
It's like if you're not a stalker.
City News, Major League Baseball.
It's like if you're not a stalker. Okay, keep it up.
Blue
Keep
Jay
it up.
Roberto Alomar on its ineligible list
So
after an
if you're not a stalker, it's like
misconduct.
if you're not a stalker,
The discipline comes after the
how
league
come you
hired
get
an
mad
external law
that I
firm
tell
to
somebody else
investigate
I have a
claims.
stalker?
Alomar's contract
You come up
as
to
a
me later and
consultant
say,
in
how
Puerto
dare you call
Rico
me a
has been
stalker? That's the equivalent of what's
Stay with
happening.
680 News for more on
It's
this
the exact
developing
equivalent
story.
of what's
And
happening.
the Toronto Police dedicated enforcement teams have had a busy first week busting up big parties in the city. 680 Charlene Close joining us with the numbers.
230 charges have been laid since the 16 divisional teams rolled out last Thursday. They're focused solely on people ignoring the province's gathering limits. They've responded to 315 locations, including 105 calls for gatherings. Most of them have been downtown, and most have been large indoor events held at short-term rentals and enclosed bars and restaurants. Inspector Matt Moyer is heading up this crackdown. He has a message to anyone thinking of going to or hosting a big bash this weekend. Expect to see police officers there too, so don't do it. I'm Charlene Close, 680 News Time 109.
When the sun is rising and the birds are chirping, there's no better way to start the day than a good old...
Of course, throughout this entire pandemic has been online shopping and the sharp increase in online shopping we've seen over the last 12 or so months. And not surprisingly, that has meant a huge jump in the bottom line for Amazon. And what exactly does that mean for online shopping into the future and for local business? David McDonald is a senior economist for the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives, and he joins us now for more of this on Global News Radio 640 Toronto. David, good afternoon. Nice to have you back with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, Amazon just reporting their first quarter earnings, and it's up, this is hard to believe, 44%, a 44% increase, an astonishing number. Can you put that into a bit of perspective for us?
Yeah, I mean, this is on revenue of $108 billion. They made $8 billion in profit in that quarter alone, triple what they saw in previous periods over that quarter. So it's really a tremendous amount of money. I mean, it's worth remembering the fact that Amazon is very good at avoiding taxation in the U.S., where there's a fair amount of transparency in terms of how much Amazon pays. In the Canadian context, we actually have very little idea whether Amazon pays any corporate income taxes or not, because we don't force them to report in the same way that other countries force companies to report whether they're paying taxes or not. It may well be that they're paying no corporate income taxes in Canada. It may well be that they're not paying property taxes in many cases in Canada because they negotiated sweetheart deals with local municipalities. Recently, the federal government now is pushing Amazon, just like any other digital giant, to charge GST, which was new for this company, although some of the provinces have been doing that. And so in that regard, it becomes slightly more even, but it remains a very unequal competitive landscape when you look at Amazon versus, say, a local or even medium-sized or large-sized Canadian business that is paying their corporate income taxes and likely can't avoid them in the same way that Amazon can.
Yeah, so it's an unlevel or an unfair playing field. At least it appears that way, because as you mentioned, we are not privy to a lot of the taxation details when it comes to Amazon.
Yeah, I mean, it's likely they're paying very little. It's likely it's almost impossible that they're paying the actual statutory rate of 15%, which is what Canadian companies generally pay. I mean, once you're a big international corporation, you pretend like your profit appears in Bermuda, and therefore, even though you've got a massive amount of business in Canada, you pay no corporate income taxes. So all the roads that you use, all the training that your employees get before they go in to work for you, you get that for free. I mean, the Canadian public basically pays for that for free. So that you can operate and make a massive profit for shareholders. And then there's no taxes paid on that profit, or very, very few taxes. That's certainly the case in other countries, although, again, we don't know in the your roads and your infrastructure and your pandemic, when we start to talk about whether companies that have done very well, not necessarily because of anything they've done in particular, just because they happen to be on the right side of the pandemic, and that was certainly the case for Amazon and other companies in that realm. That maybe they should be providing a bit more to workers, like paid sick days. Amazon distribution centers have been some of the places where we've seen big outbreaks, particularly in and around the GTA. And there is no offer for Amazon to have 2 weeks of paid sick days. And in fact, if the Ontario plan goes through, which is providing 3 days of paid sick leave, totaling up to $200, they would support companies like Amazon, but wouldn't support companies that already have paid sick days. So, companies can only take advantage of this if they decided prior to the pandemic they didn't want to give their employees paid sick days. They're the ones that get the support, whereas the companies that have higher standards for their employees don't get the support. And that's, in a pandemic, there may be some exception there, but it just shows the moral hazard of government providing these sorts of things without requiring companies to take at least a few of these sick days on their own books first to create a more level playing field.
So what does this, David, what does it all mean for a local business when we talk about, massive shift to online shopping and
Schools are safe, but it's not true. Told them to do to keep kids safe. Now the virus is out of control and we're facing school closures again.
So
have measures
every time I call this, every time I say what he's doing, he does more and more and more. So for about 4 minutes now, this idiot's just been every fucking time I look at the screen, I want it to lock up and freeze up, please.
Hey there.
Yes, every fucking time. Every time I look, every time you think I'm looking at the screen is what I should say. Because I can see it from here. That's all I know when it is. It isn't freezing up,
And our
right?
Simple Investor program
Yeah,
allows you
so
to have
there's been
title
6
ownership,
different flash
positive
messages
cash
that
flow,
I can't show
guaranteed
you
rent,
because
and
every time I go
absolutely
to
no
try to
interaction
line it
with
up.
tenants. To find out how
Non-stop
simple
flash
it is,
messages.
go to
Yeah.
thesimpleinvestor.com today. The Simple Investor. We make the world a real estate investment simple.
Number 1 for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News.
It's overcast right now and 9 degrees in downtown Toronto. Good afternoon. I'm Steve Roberts.
And I'm Sarah Harris. Here are the top stories this hour.
Certainly has been a while since we've had a news conference from the Premier. 8 days, in fact, and today Doug Ford taking some heat on everything from paid sick days to his former finance minister. The Premier also talking about doing more to secure land borders and the need to do more as especially variants of concern continue to grow. Now it comes as we look at 3,887 new cases of COVID-19 in this province. However, that is the 6th day in a row.
Why is this popping up over and over?
More strong winds, gusts in fact up to 80 kilometers an hour.
Bro. Can you fucking hurry the fuck up with whatever script you're gonna run? Because this is fucking ridiculous.
We'll tell you why just ahead.
With mom and pop shops.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to see 44% growth every quarter in Amazon until
Holy
the end
shit,
of time.
6 fucking minutes. 6 minutes. Your connection's unstable, eh? Nice.
There are quarters where
System UI isn't responding. So if this were a real flash message, I've cleared them 6 fucking times.
Particularly in Amazon, it is slightly lower in the.
If no one's interacting with it, except someone outside, this is not real. This is not real.
Mom and pop shops, unfortunately, often what people do, because it's so easy, is you go to a local store and you shop for what you want, and if it's something that's reasonably generic, you can search right there on your phone. Whether it's cheaper on Amazon, you can order right there on Amazon, standing in the store, and have it delivered to your house, even though Amazon never provided with the service of a product and playing with the product. For instance, if you think of like a sort of computer product or something like that. And so it's so easy now to order online. You can do it from a competing shop. And so there's certainly the case to be made for small businesses and medium-sized businesses. The challenge is that they're providing a service that they're selling a product that Amazon is also selling. People will price shop, and they'll do it right there in the store. And so it's just a real difficult situation. I think that we will see a longer-term trend towards people buying online, which is to Amazon's benefit, being by a long shot the biggest provider in this area. And so for smaller shops, it becomes a difficult situation. And so what governments can do is, level the playing field in terms of taxation so that everyone's at least facing the same, possible tax implications, which we're certainly not doing now. And that's not only for Amazon, it's for other companies like Apple or Facebook or Microsoft. And then also, and then I guess the real challenge is trying to get small businesses more into the online space where they can pick up additional, say, out-of-town orders that they might not otherwise get. But that is there was some support for that in the federal budget and some of the provincial budgets, but it's a challenging space that I think, a lot of the smaller stores have really lagged behind. And hopefully the pandemic has pushed them to do more online work because there are some possibilities for them in the future there, I think.
Without a doubt. David McDonald is the senior economist for the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives. David, really interesting discussion. Really, as always, appreciate the insight, and have a good weekend.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
You bet. And we're back after break. You're on 640 Toronto.
Beyond the hashtags and headlines, Global News Radio 6.
Well, the U.S. has now reached another vaccination milestone.
Today, 100 million Americans are fully vaccinated. Virus response coordinator Jeff Zion says that does not necessarily mean they're all 2 weeks past receiving the vaccines, which is needed for full vaccination. Just that they've received either the single Johnson & Johnson dose or both shots of the Moderna and Pfizer vaccine. Dr. Anthony Fauci is offering a reminder.
Now, about 8%
of people
no one's interacting with it but you. And you're just dumping non-stop garbage data on it.
For maximum protection. Sagar Rangani, Washington.
Yep, freeze it up every time my face
There's a visual
facing the camera,
distraction
bro.
for
Come on.
drivers near Pearson Airport this afternoon. No reason to be
So I can see the
overly
screen
concerned.
looking
Heavy
this way,
smoke
but
can
if
be
I
seen
look
from
this
the
way,
highway.
it locks
A
up.
spokesman for the Greater
Over
Toronto
and
Airports
fucking
Authority
over.
telling 680 News it
Pathologically,
is just a
yes, up
control
and down.
burn
Okay,
being
we
conducted
know.
by the Fire
We
and
know. That's
Emergency
their
Services
thing. We
Training
know.
Institute in their area. Well, coming up just 60 seconds from now, we've got Carrie Prunskis standing by with a look at those roads, and we'll check that extended forecast.
680 News Time, 120.
I'm so happy. I'm happy. I'm so happy.
It's just over and over and over the same thing. Not responding, not responding. These aren't real hash messages. However, I can't interact with my machine because there's one under the other, no matter what. Just non-stop bad data coming from Jomo's phone.
And things could be looking up for you.
I'm happy in my pants today.
When your bank account does more, your money does more, so you can live more too. Switch to the Scotiabank Ultimate Package and get a savings rate of up to 1.8%.
From Apple and Spotify podcasts.
This is the highlight of every second of every day for this motherfucker. Yes, please pop up the same flash message again for no reason. 20 times in a row, it's not responding. There's nothing giving it an input.
Shine Power Washes driveways, decks, and sidewalks.
And boy, oh boy, do we do Christmas lights.
This is now 10 minutes straight of this shit. It's a great way to not get noticed on the internet.
A few hours. House detailing by Shackshine.
Shackshine.com. Do you suffer from congestion, sneezing, and itchy eyes in late summer to early fall? Clientha Research is conducting a ragweed allergy study with compensation up to $2,675. Ask about the referral program. Visit at clientha.com.
How Bell makes being at home better.
Hello, spring. I love this time of year. It's the perfect time for a fresh start, like switching to Pure Fiber Internet.
But it says system UI isn't responding. Just to be clear, that means the machine can't run. Process system isn't responding. That means the machine can't run.
Get 5150 internet with 5 TV in one amazing bundle, starting from just $119.90 a month. Call 310 Bell to check availability. Bell, being at home just got better.
That babe, see Dr. Lou Nally. Go to Pinpoint Health Clinic.
Pinpoint Health is there for all your pain care needs.
I'm just not sure what this stops us from doing. What does this stop us from doing? It just proves what you are, bro. You're pathological.
Wilson, traffic is reduced to a single lane, so heavy delays both
Whatever
north and
treatment
southbound.
that company says they're doing for you, which is another reason they want me to be going to sex offender reporting, which makes no sense. I'm not charged with such a thing ever.
HowardTheGardener.com.
That's why this guy's losing his fucking mind
and
too.
With the extended forecast, here's Jill Taylor. Wind gusts could exceed 70 kilometers per hour out of the west-northwest today. We'll still be dealing with a strong northwest wind tonight. Already reached our guaranteed high. It was 9 degrees early this morning. We'll stay close to that through the day and then drop to 0 for the low. The possibility of some frost with that wind settling down overnight. Tomorrow, some sunshine to start, then increasing cloud. Chance of showers late in the day. Of a gusty southwest wind tomorrow, the high 13. And Sunday, some showers and 14. For today, already reached the guaranteed high, 9. Right now in downtown Toronto, we've got a cloudy sky. It is 9 degrees. At Pearson Airport, cloudy at 8. 680 News Time, 123.
You ever had a dream you're in your basement and you find a door that leads to another room in your basement, and then another door,
1989.
and you have like 4
Process system isn't responding. That's interesting.
Make your dream come true. AGN can turn your basement into a man cave, in-law suite, playroom, home office, home gym, whatever, in just 3 weeks. Call now and get $5,000 off.
AGN Innovations.
And we do kitchens too. Be the first to know. Premier Ford News Conference in more than a week. News, breaking news alerts.
Powered by the Monitoring Center Home Security.
Now partnered with Tag Dispatch.
Subscribe now
at 680news.com.
And this portion of 680 News has been brought to you today by Shane Baghai. Well, some good news here. The St. Lawrence Market is going to be reopening its outdoor farmers market as of tomorrow.
On the morning show to talk new album and new music, and we started the conversation by saying the last time you were here, Thomas, you were a father of 2, but now you and your wife, you've had another baby, and well, you're outnumbered.
I'm outnumbered severely, for sure. We have 3 beautiful baby girls, and Lynn, our youngest in the picture right there, was born in February of 2020. So literally quarantine baby, to be honest with you. And it's been pretty incredible getting to be at home so much this year, getting to watch them grow and put them to bed, wake up with them. These are precious moments that I would not have had unless 2020 had not been a thing. So, as weird of a year as it was really cool for me to get just reconnect with my family in that way.
Well, beautiful family, and congratulations. And also congratulations, as we mentioned off the top, on Male Artist of the Year, just a couple of weeks back at the ACM Awards. Take us back. How did that feel? I mean, let a dream come true?
It really was, especially just after the year that we had all had, to kind of get back in the room. And even though it wasn't full capacity there at the Opry, they had a lot of health.
Are concerned or responsible for workplace safety, FH Health offers same-day PCR and rapid COVID testing. And the best part, you're in and out in just a few minutes. Go to fhhealth.ca to book an appointment today at one of our 5 GTA clinics. FH Health, protecting communities, companies, and families. City News Time, 1:26.
Time now for the 680 News Business Report, and we're going to check in on Business Center with Chris McCusker. And Chris, while most of the social media companies have been doing okay this year, you're seeing a bit of a slow start for which one?
Twitter. It just hasn't been able to monetize its social media platform, at least to start the year, Steve. We did get earnings from the company today, and the stock right now is down 13%. Now, the company reported first quarter earnings, which showed a sales gain of 28%. By comparison, though, that fell short with its larger peers like Facebook and Google. Twitter's forecast for its ad business and revenue also came in below forecasts. And Twitter also took a hit, it turns out, as some advertisers pulled back on spending because of that riot at the U.S. Capitol in January. Now, having said that, shares in Twitter firmly in the red. We've got Wall Street in the red as well.
So
with
it
the
went
S&P
down,
pulling
it
back,
went back up, so it looks like it's more than it is.
Points.
Yeah, I
the
still
Dow
don't
is
like
down
your
by
analysis.
183, and the NASDAQ off by 73. Now, this month, all markets in the U.S. are looking at gains, and it looks like it could be a third straight monthly gain. The TSX today is down 97 points, 19,158. It's looking at a winning week, about 0.5%. And looking at a gain in April of about 2.5%. Some more good news from StatsCan today. It looks like our economy is looking at annualized growth of 6.5% in the first quarter. And this is quite notable. Doug Porter is chief economist at the Bank of Montreal.
That's exactly the U.S. economy we're at in the first quarter. Now, when you think about it, we had all kinds of extra restrictions that the U.S. didn't have. The U.S. had these massive stimulus packages that, we didn't have exactly that. And yet, Canada kept pace precisely with the U.S. economy, which to me is amazing.
Now, according to StatsCan, the economy grew by 0.4% in February, and it's predicting growth in March of 0.9%. Now, April could be a different story as new lockdowns, including here in Ontario, went into effect. Right now, the Canadian dollar is unchanged at 81.43 cents U.S. The price for oil under pressure today, it's down $1.32, 63.70 a barrel. So that's a drop of 2%, although it's looking at a gain of about 7% in April. And then gold right now is down $1 to 17.66. Also going to check the yield on the 10-year bond. Generally, when we see bond yields rise, markets go down. Today, we've got a slight pullback. The yield on the 10-year in Canada down 2 basis points, 1.53%. In the U.S., off by 1 basis point to 1.62%. I'm Chris McCusker. This is 680.
Get in on the McDonald's Daily Deal Drops. From April 19th to May 9th, we're dropping delicious deals like a $3 Big Mac or 50% off a McFlurry, exclusively with the McDonald's app. App download, registration, and activation required. Plus